Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Cohasset Select Board, a meeting of Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. We are holding our meeting live in person at 91 Sawyer Street at Wilcox Commons here in Cohasset, Massachusetts. If you want to watch virtually, the details are on the back of the agenda. You can link in through Zoom or on Facebook live stream. May I have a call to order, please?
Paul Grady, present.
Chris Plex here.
Farad present.
Julie Rollins present.
Ellen Mar present. I'd like to invite everyone to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and now we have public comment. The agenda says, including comments relating to items on the agenda, I'd like to respectfully request that if you have questions or comments on agenda items, let's wait until we get to that topic. So I'll entertain comments for any non-agenda item at this time. Okay, no comments. So, Kevin, were there any public comments for any non-agenda items?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And the reason for that is so that the comments and questions can be in the context of the topic that we're discussing. All right, so our first item on the agenda is 135 King Street, our public safety building update. Tonight, we have Mr. Dan Pilata, who is our OPM. He's going to take us through kind of where the project stands, where it started and where it stands today. Mr. Senior will then take us through the tax implications based on the estimates that we have, and then we'll entertain questions. And if we have questions from the audience, I'd like them to be directed towards me, the chair, and then I will direct them towards the appropriate person to answer. If I can't answer it myself, I'd like not to repeat someone else's questions or echo someone else's comments. And if we still have time after the live questions, if we have questions remotely, we'll go through those. But we do have a very full agenda to conduct the town's business tonight. So I would appreciate everybody's consideration. But before we begin, Mr. Grady, did you want to say something?
Good evening, everybody. And it's Bestic. I'm going to keep my hand away from my mouth. So this project stirred up a bit of a hornet's nest. I just want to reach back in time. So the vice chair of the board that initiated this project, we saw a building on King Street, $0.5 million, that we thought would be the best bet to grab and try to get it as fast as possible. We made a best guess estimate due to current bids and prices to come up with a $10.4 million, far from perfect science. And for that, I apologize. And I apologize to the member who wanted to push that through. I believe it in. I understand there's a video saying $10.4 million all in. And again, for that, I apologize. But it was done with the best intentions. We saw a building that, according to the MSBCA study, was ideally situated for our police and fire department. And as we all know, the police and fire department on Elm is out of date, it's worn out, it's tired, and it's 62 years old. And our police and fire deserve more, as do the residents of our town. We want to reach all four corners of Cohasset speedily while keeping our public safety personnel safe, and just as importantly, the people in town safe, with a faster response time, lack of trains, just a number of other items. That building would have probably been sold, so we thought it wise to grab it and get it as soon as possible. What we did not want to do as well is, in looking back at the former town hall iterations, where we spent upwards of $3 million on studies, on plans, architectural renderings, for a building that did not pass a number of times. Different price and cost points, the town was not in approval, understandably so. But this building, we looked at the 10.4, again, we went with local estimates, we looked, guesswork involved, and we got it. So what we're going to flesh out tonight is how we got to where we got. But again, for any role that the board played, it's all in the best of intentions for the safety and well-being of Cohasset. And my role in it, I apologize on that. It was not meant to confuse or mislead. And I will say this, that a lot of people are working very hard. And I've seen, some of the commentary, some of it's justified, some of it's not. I'm leaning towards our assistant town manager, our town management, and the board of select board, that they should be fired, that there's allegations of corruption, that there are a number of things. Cohasset's not run by 143, it's 3 or 4 voices. Some of the questions, some of those voices have are legitimate, but the accusations are untrue. Our town staff works their collective asses off, pardon my language, but it's the truth. Our police and fire work their tails off. And it's not only that, we owe them a debt of gratitude that we can never repay. And I'm including Michelle Leary, Chris Senior, everybody who works in this town, our town staff as a whole. And that does get my temper up. And again, for that, I'm going to apologize. Tony Town. But we do want to know that, if mistakes were made, I'm speaking myself singularly as the former vice chair of the select board. I'm sorry about that. We want to move forward, provide the best for Cohasset, and that's the sole goal. There's no hidden agenda in that. And I'd like to send that, but I will say that I would take offense to insulting our town employees who work their tails off. We don't want to lose them. And with that, I'm going to put that over to Dan Pilata. So what we want to explain is how we got to where we got, honestly, and put it right out to the public to see and entertain any questions. Thanks so much.
Madam Chair,
Sure, yes, please.
my name is Dan Pilata. I'm the president of P3 Inc. We are a project management firm. We work all over the state, all sorts of different public entities. And what I thought might be helpful is for us to just go down the path of how we get to a construction project. How do we get to an appropriation? We just heard Selectman Grady say that, they needed to grab the building, and grabbing the building was actually a good thing on this project. We actually are going to save money by the fact that you will wisely grab the building when you grab the building. That being said, in 2004, the Construction Reform Act was passed. In 2006 to 2008, it began to be implemented, and it required that the first person hired when you have a project that's identified over 1.5 million is an independent OPM. That's our firm on this project. The OPM helps guide the municipality hire a designer, which we did immediately after being selected by your public safety working group and assistant town manager and the board of selectmen. We received, I think, 5 or 6 different packages from designers. We interviewed 2 designers that were well suited for this project, and we chose the firm of HKT out of Boston for their experience with renovation of buildings as well as building public safety buildings. The process then changes just a little bit, and we start talking about what is truly needed for the police department, what is needed for the fire department. We literally go through all of the existing spaces, identify the spaces, identify the needs, and we create a program study. Program study for this particular building almost fit in the building. It doesn't quite fit in the building because the sally port doesn't fit in the building. And a police station needs a sally port. Sally port is an enclosed enclosure where they can take an offender in, close both sides of the sally port, and transport that offender to a secure facility. This building's floor-to-floor height did not allow us to be able to cut a hole in the side of the building and create a sally port. So the first change from the concept was to add a sally port on the right side of the building. We then worked out all our adjacencies, what are called adjacencies, you know, opening needs to be next to detention needs to be next to evidence and so on and so forth. And we had the beginnings of laying out the building. We worked with Glenn Pratt, Dan Tarpey, Chief Dockeray, Chief Quigley, and Paul Grady for the past 8 months or so, getting the layout of the building correct and finishing what we call schematic design. At the end of schematic design, we sent the project out for an estimate from an independent estimator. And it was clear that we're gonna need more than $10 million. We continue to work and continue to move down the path to what we call design development. Keeping in mind that Cohasset is a community that values the environment. We've selected HVAC systems for the building that are high efficient and all electric, green. And each system in the building we worked on as a group to develop and make that work within the frame of the building. The building itself is not designed to be a police station. It was designed to be an office building. And because an office building has different codes, we had to deal with some code issues, primarily structural codes. This needs to be a group 4 construction. A group 4 construction allows the building to withstand hurricanes, or withstand events, because the police don't get to sleep. The fire department doesn't get to sleep. They have to work 24 hours regardless of the weather. So this building needed to be stiffened up, and that required some work. So upon the completion of DD and the construction documents, we have the estimate that is before us today. And the estimate for the construction of the building, which includes a 2-bay substation for the fire department, is $19,780,312. That gets put on top of the architect's construction administration fees, the OPM's construction administration fees, and something we call FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Police station requires a lot of equipment. A fire station requires a lot of equipment. Fire stations today aren't the same as they were in 50 years ago. We know now that firemen have a 17% higher rate of cancer, and that when they come back from a call, their equipment needs to be washed, dry, and they need the space to do that in the substation. So we have FF&E and testing and radios, computers, and all that. And when we put it all together, we came back with a budget of $26,898,143.20. Now that is based on an estimate of that 19 million. We are currently in bidding. While we were designing the project, we also began the process of what's called Chapter 149, which is a project over $10 million. We pre-qualified all our contractors to make sure the contractors were capable of doing this project. And at the end of August, we will receive the first step of 2 steps of the public bidding process. Step 1 being the file sub, what we call file sub bids. 16 trades that are required by the Inspector General's office for us to bid earlier. In our case, I think we have 11 of the 16 trades. There's no terrazzo or plaster or things like that. So some of the trades we don't have. We have 16 file sub bid, 11 file sub bid trades from the 16. 3 weeks later, sometime around mid-September, we're going to get the general bid. And that will be the number that we have going to put into the budget and adjust this number of 26 million to bring to town meeting and to put into the warrant for appropriation. Some of the radio and infrastructure numbers will be finalized prior to that warrant being put together as well as the furniture, fixture, and equipment numbers, which at this point are estimated, but will be finalized. Once all those numbers come together, the town meeting with a number. That's where we stand from a complete, understanding of where public construction is today in Massachusetts. It's almost a parabolic curve. The school building authority has a wonderful chart. If you go to the Mass School Building Authority, they track schools. It's a parabolic curve. It used to be a straight line. In the last 4 years, it's taken a parabolic curve to it. Costs have gone up exponentially. That's why we decided to bid the project prior to going to town meeting to ensure there were no surprises for the residents of Cohasset. The purchasing of the building for this project will save the town. If the estimate comes in where we say it's gonna come in of $5,195,000. So by purchasing that building, you save money. Not only that, you secured a piece of land on Route 3A where the study said you needed to go. The police addition is 4,330 feet. The fire addition is 3,000 and change, plus a second floor of mechanicals for the building, making that wing 5,431 square feet. And the existing building is 13,843 square feet. Today, construction projects all in, not just construction, but all in, public safety running $1,300 a square foot. The construction only numbers for this project are $723 to renovate the existing 135 King Street, with about approximately $1,000 square foot addition, one on the left side. That point, I think I brought you up to date on how we got there. I hope it's informative, and I can take questions if you would like, Madam Chair.
Not right at this moment, Mr. Senior. I'd like you to review the based on the numbers we heard tonight, how the debt exclusion will impact the taxpayer and when.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the original estimates projected a tax impact of $221 for the median home. And proceeding off that and using that same basis is proceeding with these numbers. So what we've done since that, those approvals at special town meeting, King Street was purchased. So that was $2.4 million. So then the building was purchased December, I think, or January. April, sorry, we closed in April of 24. And that 2.4 has been bonded. We originally were projecting a 5% interest rate for all the projections. We ended up for this bond at a 3.27% net rate over 20 years. So we actually got a very favorable rate. And people are already started in people's taxes. So this year it's $56 on the median home. That's what the impact of the actual purchase of 135. That goes down about 3% a year because it's set on, unlike a mortgage, which usually stable. This is a set. We said kept the principal the same every year, so it's going to accelerate. It started a little bit higher, but it's going to save a little bit of interest costs on the line. The construction estimate on the all-in number that we were using is 24.6. That's the new overall estimate. And I ran two scenarios on that with an understanding that if everything gets approved this fall, the new bonding and the bids are back and everything's good, then with the start date of January, roughly 26, the full impact of this won't really hit until FY28 because the bills will be paid, so borrowing money won't really go to full bond for about a year and a half, which we put into FY28. So, and again, being very conservative with the interest rates. The AAA credit we have is really beneficial, but I'm just being cautious. So, at 25, we go up to 30, but I have to talk to our financial advisor again, and 25 is a safer bet. If we go, if the rate's even better, we go a little short. Right now, we're using 25. It'll be $464 at 5% rate. That's the cost of 24.6, or 419 if we're at 4% interest rate. So you can see it's a fairly substantial savings. So again, if you look ahead to FY 28, when this would actually start to hit full, at that point, the purchase of the building is down to about $53. And if a 5% rate, the all-in cost for the median home is $517. If we're at a 4% interest rate, the all-in cost is $472. And going back to the original 221 projection, the increase is $251 to $296, depending on where the interest rate goes. And just one other piece, that every $1 million decrease will decrease that annual cost. It goes down $17 a year at a 4% rate and $19 a year at 5%. So every $1 million that comes down will decrease the debt service.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm going to entertain questions from the board first. Mr. Grady?
Just one for, Dan. Your explanation, thank you so much. That includes everything, so talking about all inclusive with, King, just the whole public safety project.
27?
Yeah.
Is for King Street.
Mr. Plex?
If you wouldn't mind just briefly helping us understand compared to other similar projects on a per square foot basis, because Cohasset is a smaller town than a lot of other comparable towns that might have had similar projects. Can you help us understand if, I think you said 1,300 a square foot is in range, factoring in inflation and all the other differences that there may be?
Yeah, 1,300 is definitely within range. From a construction standpoint, the construction only number, which is usually how public construction is charted. I know there is an all-in number, and I'm glad that the town manager is using the word all-in. The construction number for the King Street building alone is $723.78. Most public safeties in the past, I don't know, 2 years are $944, $1,163, $850. And we are in better shape by purchasing the building, and that's why you're saving the $9 million. As you have a structure there, even though we have to repair the structure to make it a brute force structure, it's still a lot cheaper than having a farmhouse steel from Canada and wonder, what the tariff's gonna be.
Thank you. And what I want to be able to tell people is this is a good deal. It's expensive, but it's necessary. And for what we need, it's a good deal. So thank you.
It's a great deal, and if you just take the fire component out of it, which is $5 million, you're never gonna build a fire substation for $5 million, ever. And the reason you're building it for $5 million here, and I think it's $5,431,000, is because we're power's coming from the main building, water and sewer is coming from the main. We're sharing commonality among uses within the building, which is the whole purpose of doing public safety.
Thank you. Mr. Farag?
Great, thank you. Chris, I was wondering with the cost impact projections, if that can be either posted, if not tonight or on the town website, because I know people were probably following along at home, but you're writing down what the numbers are. So the difference from 2023, that was 221, and if it's a 5%, that's 464. So the difference of impact is going to be about $243, right? Isn't that the difference?
Well, when you add, you've already bonded the purchase of the property, right?
Okay.
So when you put them both together, because that's already in, the 50, the 2.4 is already locked in at 3.1%. So projecting a higher interest rate, which we hope we don't have, we got to be conservative on this. All in, it would be 517 for a 5% interest rate for the construction, because the construction alone and all the other things go with it. It's about $464. And again, at a 5%, 4% is 419. Remember, these are the high-end total estimates that we have. So that's what these are based on.
Yeah. But the difference from what the 10 million was to that's 200 and some change.
Yeah,
Basically
yes,
the
yes, between 250 and just shy of 30.
Okay. With the station, I know there's there's lots of information on the town website regarding it. So if people want to go there, they can look at the plans and everything like that. Another question I had was, is the emergency management, is that going to be fully moved to 135, or is that going to be, is it going to be, so that's going to be the primary place for emergency management now instead of at the Deer Hill School? Is that correct?
That'll be an all-in building, actually, not only that. So management will have obviously fire there, and obviously it's.
I'll hold any other questions for now. Pass them.
Julie?
Yeah, the data center, I think that's also going to be part of this building, is that correct? And if so, does that add, is that why the price per square foot for the new addition is also a little bit higher because that
No,
would be, or is that part of the FF?
No, that's part of the FF.
Got it.
Some of that cost is in FF.
Okay, oh, thank you.
Oh, I,
The reason that
Sorry.
the ads cost more is because new construction.
Makes sense, thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, if you could come back to me. As far as this project, 'cause I think people want to know this, is regarding the bonding capacity in the town with this project, how will that deal with other projects that are coming down the line? So if we're talking about the Elm Street, the schools potentially, or any other bonding, what will we have capacity and or ability to bond for any future projects?
There's lots of capacity for additional bonding. And then this is debt excluded, so it doesn't count against our, the money that we incorporate with the budget, so there's enough to bond a substantial, I mean, not that, you know, doing that, but you can bond a lot more than,
So it won't be bumping any other projects.
not from a bonding capacity.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. So Mr. Farag mentioned the website. Kevin, if you could put up on the screen, I just want to show people how easy it is to get to our project page. So if you go to the town of Cohasset, cohassetma.gov, Kevin's going to pull it up. And there should be the gray bar, town project updates, public safety building project. And right there is the collection of all the documentation. And we will put on that page as well as the homepage for the town website, when we get the bids back, a calculator like we did in for special town meeting 2023, when we had all the projects, where you can go in, you can look up your assessed value and you can put in your assessed value so you can see the tax impact for you specifically. Mr. Senior gave us averages based on the median assessed value of the homes in Cohasset. But once we get the bids, you'll be able to calculate it for yourself. And all of the documents that have been part of this project are here. And it's very easy. Town website, town projects, public safety building. Couldn't be easier to get to all the documents. So to Mr. Farag's point of people listening and not being able, you know, to maybe keep up and take notes, everything is stored there. So that's my first comment. My second comment, I'd like to refer back to Mr. Grady's opening comments and let everybody know that the summer and fall of 2023 was quite ambitious. And we have, for those of you who remember, we had 4 special projects slated for a special town meeting with 1 Pleasant Street as town hall, this public safety building, recreation and stabilization funds for schools and for roads and sidewalks. And we, as a board, 3 of us are here now from that time frame. We voted 5-0 on every single project. So although Mr. Grady said that he apologized, we voted together because we are a board. We don't do anything independently. We do it as a board, and every project had a 5-0 vote. And I think that's very important for the community to understand. And other than Pleasant Street, the other 3 projects, including this one, passed. And we appreciate the voters of Cohasset supporting the initiatives for the much needed infrastructure updates that we're working on. Regarding this project, we will have continuous updates, perhaps not every meeting, but at every milestone where appropriate. We will have more updates. Hopefully, Mr. Pilata will come as the OPM, but every benchmark, we will communicate with the community. We have a campaign of information that we're working on to put out there in various forms of social media, press releases, we will post on the Town of Cohasset Government webpage and the Cohasset Police Department webpage and the Cohasset, I'm sorry, Facebook page and the Fire Department Facebook page. Those are where we will post our updates. And so with that, we will take some questions from the audience. So please name and address for the record, and please direct your question to me, and we will answer it to the best of our ability. Please don't repeat a question so that someone else has asked. Yes,
I have a public comment.
okay. David, I can do it.
Yes.
Can you please come up, and you need your name and address?
Will Ashton, 125 Doan Street. Wanted to share some of the community's concerns about the project's design, budget, and communication from the perspective of a design and construction professional. So I've lived in Cohasset for 10 years. I've served on the Concom, proud Girl Scout volunteer, member of St. Stephen's, and I'm a major in the Army Reserve. But professionally, I've worked in construction project management for 15 years, both as a contractor and owner on highly specialized lab and hospital buildouts, specifically involving Level 4 essential facilities. Most recently completing a $250 million 10-story lab building where I led the permitting, design, and construction under budget and on schedule. So I think that professional background makes me expertly qualified on the topic of this Level 4 public safety facility. I think the frustration in town centers on two things: the lack of transparency and scope creep. Transparency is of significant concern because the town was initially presented with a project budget of 10 million for a specific scope of 5 things: buy a building, upgrade a cell block that failed state inspections, add an interview room, build an ambulance bay, and decrease response times. At the time, Chief Quigley noted in a 2023 news article that the proposed build would, quote, "not be the envy of every police chief on the South Shore, nothing fancy, but it would meet our needs." What we have now is a design that nearly triples the footprint of public safety, taking us from 13,000 square feet to 36,000 square feet. That's 10,000 square feet more than the voters approved, and it includes amenities that other towns don't have: a private bathroom for the police chief, public bathrooms in the lobby, 2 police bays in addition to the Sally Port, separate offices for the executive officer and watch commander. And additionally, when compared to Scituate's public safety building, Cohasset's plan has 3 times the space for half as many sergeants, and it includes a training and EOC space that's double the size of Scituate's. There's also considerable design inefficiencies and redundancies, such as 37 lockers for 20 staff, additional second-floor bathrooms next to locker rooms, a separate toilet and sink in an equipment room, a Zoom room, 3 meeting rooms, and 3 interrogation rooms. There's also a $3 million furniture budget, $150 a square foot. The industry standard is 20 to 30 a square foot, which is more than $2 million over the standard. I'm making it a point to call out these specific features of the plan, as they're far from what was advertised in 2023. And I can assure you that the increased cost is not due to construction escalation or it being a Level 4 facility. And if the architect or OPM is attributing the budget increase to that, they're misleading us and failing to provide the transparency around important project decisions. Second issue, scope creep. How did we get so far off track with an architect and OPM guiding us? Is it that we've lost sight of the basic initial scope from 2023, that nothing fancy but meets our needs? As of last week, we've been told that the scope had been scaled down from previous iterations, but the current plans suggest otherwise. Is it attributable to the same outsized growth we've seen in the police budget over the past few years? A budget that's increased 40% in 6 years when our population has gone up 7? Regardless of the reason for this problem, the answer is not pushing through another $18 million at November's special town meeting. And it's important to emphasize that this is just phase 1. Phase 2 involves renovating Elm Street for the fire department with entirely separate costs down the road when we have costly town infrastructure needs within our schools, town hall, and transfer station. So what can we do? We have to remove the 135 King Street Public Safety Building budget approval from the November ballot, return to the original scope, work within the existing building footprint, make only additions where needed, such as the apparatus bay for the ambulance. As a professional in this field, I'd be willing to assist with value engineering to ensure the residents of Cohasset are fairly represented in the process. I'm confident that other residents with relevant experience will gladly do the same. We must act together. And if this requested commitment cannot be made to the residents of Cohasset, we'll mobilize in opposition in the November town meeting to stop this project from moving forward in its current form. Thank you.
Great. Yes,
Cassandra Butchka, 290 Beechwood Street. I'd also like to make a public comment per the posted agenda. Public comment should have been taken at the beginning at 7:01. Good evening. I'd like to address what's becoming increasingly clear to many residents. This project and the way it's being communicated reflects more of a polished PR campaign than a transparent public planning process. Excuse me. The messaging we've seen is full of jargon, appeals to emotion, and calls for unity, and it feels less like leadership and more like political damage control. But residents aren't asking for spin, we're asking for answers, and we deserve them. So I have a few direct, informed questions that I hope the board will address. One, why was the original 10.4 million figure put forward if the project team lacked the capacity or information to assess what the facility would actually require? Two, who made the decision to describe the building as, quote, practically move-in ready, and what changed so drastically that renovation costs increased by, over 350%? That's a failure of due diligence or misrepresentation, not normal inflation. Three, why weren't code reviews, feasibility studies, and public safety requirements fully vetted before the original vote? Isn't that standard practice for any responsible capital project? Four, why is this being described as, quote, scaled back when it's costing nearly triple the original estimate? Those two things can't both be true unless something fundamental is being misrepresented. Five, what is the total cost of phase 1 and phase 2? If we're being asked to approve projects in stages without a full price tag, that's not transparency, that's fiscal sleight of hand. Six, where does this project fall in relation to other urgent needs, like David Farag mentioned, like aging school facilities or restoring tuition-free full-day kindergarten? Has the town provided a clear and public capital prioritization plan? Seven, why was a traffic study delayed until the end of permitting? That should be foundational for any emergency services facility. Eight, why are residents' questions being labeled as, quote, inflammatory and dismissed, while legitimate concerns are buried across scattered communications? Nine, when did this board first see the blueprints and full design plans? We've heard that people have had access back in December, yet residents are just now seeing them weeks before key votes. Was this information shared internally months ago, but withheld from the public? And if so, why? Why wasn't the public informed when you first figured out that it was going to cost us more than $10.5 million? And 10, why are consultants being retained and bids being prepared or solicited before the project has secured funding? Under Massachusetts procurement law, towns aren't permitted to solicit or award contracts without an appropriation in place. Has the town already committed to vendors or services ahead of the required public approvals? And if so, on what legal basis? If the town is moving forward on the assumption that this project will be funded rather than waiting to see if it should be funded, then the public process is being treated as a formality and not as a safeguard. That's just not premature. It's a violation of public trust. Thank you.
Mr. Pilata, is there anything in that?
With regard to the public bidding,
Mhm.
the documents are clear that the bidders are fully aware that the project is not funded and the project cannot be awarded without funding being secured. They are bidding it knowing that. Having a project bid municipality cannot, as you have stated, award a project without without funding. The town accountant cannot certify that the funds are available, which is required under Mass General laws. With regard to some of the other items, we were hired after the 10.2 million was appropriated, appropriated at town meeting. And we've created the 27 million budget based on the needs of the police department. I can't speak to anything prior to those days because I wasn't. I can only speak to the fact that, you know, we're gonna come to town meeting with a valid bid in hand. And should town meeting approve the money, we'll receive a payment performance bond, and it will secure the project to be completed for that amount of money.
Thank you. Yes,
Oh, we've
Mr.
got somebody in the back.
Mr.
No, he can.
Oh, Mr. Tarpey, please come up.
Good evening, all. Dan Tarpey, 12 Bates Lane. And unlike the folks who just came before me, I don't have any prepared remarks tonight. I am intimately familiar with the project. Just after it got started, I was asked to become part of the working group. Never having done anything in town government before, never been on a board, that sort of thing like that. And if I'm known for anything in the town, probably as being a fiscal conservative. And I kind of brought that initial outlook toward the project. And then I became aware of the ramifications, the need for it, the fact that the existing facilities were built in 62 for short money then and renovated on the cheap some years after that. I looked at the reason for a police station and fire substation up on 3A, and the reasons are apparent. 3A is the biggest point of ingress into the town. We definitely need a police presence up there, far more than what we have right now, and the station will do that. But the real reason why I support this project is because all of the facilities where our kids play, either outdoor soccer, indoor basketball, what have you, are on the west side of the train tracks. And I've actually measured the time it takes for the gates to go up and down. And an ambulance coming from its present location on Elm Street can be delayed for anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, depending upon which gate they're approaching. If that's my son or daughter up on one of those playing fields or in one of those gyms who has a medical emergency, I don't care what the cost is. Now, to the point of buying 135 King Street, I think the select board, as was when we purchased it, was brilliant. You cannot find that type of property anywhere on 3A for the price they pay for it. For whatever use it was going to be used at the time, it was a great purchase. I think that in the course of developing this project, and I understand the angst about it and that sort of thing like that, nobody ever thought that a police station, fire substation in Elm Street, the existing fire headquarters, could be renovated for $10 million. I mean, I have no experience in public construction, none whatsoever. And I never thought it was going to be $10 million, regardless of what was said. I understood that as a beginning point to get the project started. As part of the last 8 to 9 months, I've had the opportunity to visit other recently completed police and fire stations. Situate, Marshfield, I missed Hingham. I wish I could have seen it, but I was busy that day. But the most important thing I want to mention is that early on in the process, I had the opportunity to tour the existing facilities on Elm Street that the police and fire department currently use. And I've got to tell Chief Quigley and Chief Dockery, as a private citizen, I'm embarrassed. I am embarrassed that the firemen and the police department, policemen and women had to use those facilities for as long as they did. They are decades past their sell-by date. Built in 62 for a 9-man police station. I don't know how many firefighters we had on duty in those times. The equipment has changed tremendously. So when I toured the existing fire and police station, it was clean and serviceable, but you couldn't turn around. It was a disgrace. I was personally embarrassed to be a resident of the town of Cohasset, that our people had to work under these conditions. The facility is years past its sell-by date. It's got nothing to do with money. It's got to do with the safety of our children. Anybody who thinks otherwise is wrong. It should have been done decades ago, and that's not the select board's fault. We are paying a lot of money now for something that should have been done 20 or 30 years ago. But that facility as it exists right now is a disgrace, and it needs to be changed. We need the police station, and fire station up on 3A, and then we need a usable fire headquarters. Thank you.
Mr. Tarpey. Okay, Kevin, are there no questions live? Okay. Anything else from the board?
I just have one
Mr.
thing.
Farag?
Coming up in the future, I don't know if it's gonna be planned, I think it is, to have more public meetings regarding this. And I think with some of the questions that were brought up tonight, while it's an agenda item tonight, we won't be able to go through everything. And I think we should go through it with a different public meeting or public setting. And we should have, well, Mr. Pilata here, and we should go through the whole designs and or cost estimates stem to stern, and be able to look at them and answer some of the questions that were brought up tonight by Mr. Ashton and Cassandra. I didn't catch the last name as I wrote it down quickly, but with those questions, and then they can be gone through from A to Z. So I would suggest that a different point in the next coming weeks, we do that, have it fully noticed so that everybody can look online or come in person if they'd like, and literally go through every single nook and cranny of what the design of the building is and why things are where they are and why the different rooms are there and everything that was asked tonight. And I think that would be a useful public process to go through.
Be happy to come back. I will bring the design over.
Yep, we did discuss having forums, having public forums. We did them in 2023 and solely focused on this one particular topic with fact sheets and questions and answers. We're going to put up an FAQ on this project. And we'd love to have you back, Mr. Pilata, for those. Would also like to encourage having tours of Elm Street. To Mr. Tarpey's comments, when Mr. Plex and I joined the select board, we did a tour of Elm Street. And having been here my whole life, I was shocked. You know, you drive by it every day and you say, oh, there's our public safety building. And when you get in and you see where things are stored and you see where the gear that the firemen have to wear has to go to be decontaminated and it's out in the open, it was shocking. It was very eye-opening for me. And I would encourage, you know, anyone to go down and look at 62 Elm Street. I don't think the need for the building and the location really is in question from what I'm hearing. And it is about transparency. We have talked about this in our select board meetings off and on for the last year, with updates where we are in the progress, where the working group was in their progress. The question was asked, when did we see the plans? I haven't seen the plans yet. The design plans. So not because they're not being shown to me, I just haven't had the time. And the board learned of the number at our last meeting, hence this meeting. So that's how quickly this has happened. So we will keep you posted. I encourage you to visit that webpage for updates on where we are, documentation of where we are, and please come back to our meetings. You can email any of us, you can call me, leave a message. My number is 781-424-6089. Text me, call me, leave a message, I'll get back to you. And we'll keep moving forward and sharing as much as we know when we know it. Okay, Mr. Grady.
Just a quick question in regard to transparency. To our assistant town manager, Michelle, have we had requests for information?
Yeah.
And we provided that, right? Have we asked people to come up and tour the building or invited people to meetings to try to clarify? Have we had any turn up for that?
Not a lot, no.
Okay, just, but the invitation is out there. Chief's up there, Michelle, Chris, anybody can come up, Mr. Plata. It's an open invitation to come tour, and that includes you too, Mr. Ashton, as far as, going to some probabilities about why, where, and how the bathrooms are placed and things along those lines, if you find it efficient. I would encourage you to come up and visit the building and find out what's been shaved off, what's been done to try to bring down the cost. I can tell you this on a personal level, when I saw the actual cost, there was a lot of sticker shock, but we wanted to get it out there as soon as possible to the public. And again, as the chair, Madam Chair said, we own our role in that. But again, we want to be as transparent, as clear as possible to anyone. So anybody is welcome to come up and question or take a visit or talk to some of the persons. I'm sure the chief would welcome the opportunity. Mr. Plata at the correct time when he's there, we could schedule that. So it's going to be an ongoing conversation. And again, Mr. Tarpey said, if you go down to Elm Street, take a walk through. It's horrific. It's way past the shelf date. And it has, how they've been able to do it for all these years. Credit to our police and fire department. Please come up to King Street. Please take a look at the plans. See what's been shaved off. And Mr. Ashton, again, I would encourage you to just come up and offer your expertise in some of that. As a citizen of the town and a resident, please feel free. At any point in time, if you see something. Again, we've got some hardworking people on this, and for that, it's my hope that it's something this town needs. We're at a crossroads, guys. A lot of stuff has been allowed to rot on the vine over the last 30 or 40 years, and it's an unfortunate position we find ourselves in. But at some point, we have to pay that piper, and these guys are working their tails off to do just that and just bring us up. So that's all I'd say about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grady. We are behind schedule. Next up, we have board and committee updates and appointments. So first up, so normally to my colleagues, I would do this as a single slate, but we do have one board where there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are 5 applicants for 3 positions. So the other 2 boards, Council on Elder Affairs and the Conservation Commission, these are non-contested, so to speak. So with everyone's blessing, unless, is there anyone here from Council on Elder Affairs that would like to come up and speak?
Well,
Would you?
my name is Jim Murphy. I live at 39 Cedar Street. I'm the chairperson for the Board of Directors of the Council of Elder Affairs. The seats that are being reapplied for are all happy as a little family here and seem to be working very well. As everybody probably knows, the Elder Affairs has gone through some enormous changes recently, and with the help of an incredibly competent staff here that has had very little time to get up and running, given all the people that left. The place is running remarkably well, and the people who are on the board are working very well together, and it would be terrific if everybody that wants to be on there continues on as they do. That's all.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so since these are all reappointments for,
Ellen,
Yes.
who is running for Conservation Commission, and could we hear a little bit from them?
yes, I'm gonna do
Are they a
council,
new
I'm gonna do council first.
Got it.
Okay, so may I have a motion to reappoint Megan Fisher as associate member, James Murphy, full member, Elaine Coyne, full member, and Richard Hines, full member to the Council on Elder Affairs for 3-year term?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, roll call?
Chris Plex, aye.
Oh, Mr. Grady, see, actually, I apologize. We don't need a roll call because we're all present.
Mhm.
We're all present. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's 4-0. Next up is Conservation Commission for a 3-year term. We have Mr. McIntyre, who is looking for a reappointment, And then Mr. Ashton is looking as a new applicant. Mr. Ashton, did you want to speak about Concom?
Oh, yeah, I was on Concom for 3 years.
please.
Oh, sorry.
They can't see.
I don't need to, but I can if you want. Will Ashton, 125 Doan Street. I was on Concom for 3 years, took a year off to do some Army Reserve schooling, just looking to come back to Concom. It's pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Rollins?
How many seats do we have open right now? Just the one?
Yes, that's unfilled, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, and there were, I don't believe there are any other applicants specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members have any questions? Mr. Flex?
If I could just clarify, so one seat available that is not a reappointment?
I believe there's one open seat. Conservation, let me just look. So Mr. McIntyre is looking to get reappointed. There's a vacancy for a full member.
Okay.
According to the website, that there's a vacancy for a full member and a vacancy for an associate member.
Thank you.
It also, Mr. Lazoriak, he's an associate member. His term is up, but he hasn't applied, but we have openings. Any other comments from the board? No.
No.
So may I have a motion to appoint Mr. Chris McIntyre and Mr. William Ashton to the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up, Zoning Board of Appeals. We have 5 applications. Am I reading this right? 2 reappointments and 3 new applications for 2 openings, I believe. Yes, there are 2 seats that are up. So Mr. Chittick and Mr. Higginson are looking to be reappointed. Ms. Fernandez, Mr. Flaherty, and Ms. Kelleher are looking to apply. Do we have any of those parties here? We have everybody. Okay. Are you looking for a reappointment?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to just come up and? Name, address, and just a brief reason why you wish to continue.
Name is Charles Higginson, and I've been a resident of this town my whole life. I live at 159 Atlantic Avenue. At the moment, I'm about to move to a smaller house. It's easier to take care of on Lothrop Lane. And I was in the zoning board under Roger Culver about 50 years ago and enjoyed it. Then I joined the Foreign Service and retired from the Foreign Service as a senior diplomat. And when I came back here, I reapplied for the zoning board. I went to Harvard Law School, practiced law for about 4 years before I joined the Foreign Service. I enjoy the legal issues. My term was up and I've applied for reappointment.
Okay.
And I come from a sort of legal family. My son is an appellate Fifth Circuit judge in New Orleans, so we get a lot of legal discussions around the home. Oh, any questions?
And anyone on the board have any questions?
Just one, Mr. Higginson. You've been on the board, how many years now? So that some of the people at home, if they don't watch the zoning board meetings, so how long have you been on the zoning board currently?
3 years back in the 1990s and about 15 years since I retired from the Foreign Service.
Great, thank you.
No. Great, thank you. Okay, thanks very much. Okay. Is that correct? Mr. Flaherty, I think you were in the room first this evening, so if you would please come up. We're going in no particular order.
I would yield to the ladies first.
Oh,
Good evening. Thank you for hearing my appeal for the zoning board. My name is Michael Flaherty, 721 Avalon Drive. I've lived in Cohasset for 10 years since moving back from California. I've been in financial services for 33 years, 25 years as a practicing attorney. Been general counsel, associate deputy counsel, and I think a lot of the legal reasoning in practice would benefit the zoning board. I've been reading up on the Mass General laws and also Section 300, the zoning bylaws. And I looked at a couple of previous cases and I tried to practice, and I don't know where the board came out on them, but I kind of tweaked them and where I would start my reasoning, and I think I would make a good addition. I'm also, it's FINRA, Financial Industry Services Association. I'm a non-public arbitrator, so I will hear cases where I'm a securities expert. When people bring suits against broker dealers or their advisors, they have to go to arbitration. And so I represent the securities side, the legal rationale behind some of the claims that are brought. And then you'll have public arbitrators that are not affiliated with the securities industry, and so we have a full body that people get a fair hearing. Gulf War veteran, and 33 years I mentioned. August 8th, I retire.
Oh,
Retiring, yep, and I.
Free time.
I have some free time, and I thought this would be, a great opportunity to give back and participate in community affairs. I've always wanted to do that. So now I have the time, and I look forward to once they lower the, I'll be looking to purchase in Cohasset. So that's my.
I think Mr. Higginson's selling a house right now, so you might be able to move in. You might.
Wait just a couple of months for Mr. Powell. May I ask
Yeah.
any questions?
no,
Good, but thank you so much.
No, I think your recitation of your experience.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you
Thank you for your.
Appreciate your time.
Is there any other board, because we are in a quandary, is there any other board, and I'll ask the other two applicants that are here, that you might be interested in?
Well, funny you asked me that. So when I saw the announcement looking for volunteer opportunities, I did. I went to, I think I'd be better with the zoning, but I did say I'll also look at the Conservation Committee. And I believe it was Ellen said, well, pick one. And so I said, okay, I'll pick the ZBA.
Okay,
So, sure.
okay, well, we just reviewed conservation, we do have an opening on conservation.
As an associate.
No, there's a full, according to the website, there's a full member and an associate member. Is that not correct? David is our liaison from the select board.
Back in times back, there was a chair, and then Ashton was taking that, right? He's taking the full member.
Oh, he's taking the full
Yeah,
member.
so that leaves an associate.
You're correct. I misspoke. So we do have an associate member. That's just the non-voting member. If they're allowed to vote in the event that they don't have a quorum of regular members.
Okay.
Okay,
Most of my committee memberships in the financial industry, I've been ex officio, so I'm not a voting member. That's to protect
right.
the sanctity of being the lawyer in the room.
Right.
But,
Yeah. So,
but I have no problem voting, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, no, associate position's good. I mean, when I was on the Conservation Commission, I started off as an associate too. We're not pushing you to that right now, but I'm
Right.
just saying,
Yeah.
we'll talk with all the other candidates, because I was on there for a year before I became a full member, so
Sure,
certainly a pathway on the board.
sure.
great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Who do we have next? Miss Fernandez? Okay,
My name is Leah Fernandez, 348 Forest Ave. So I've lived in Cohasset now for 3 years. I have a son who's going to start kindergarten and my daughter who's in second grade in the school district. I have recently shifted careers. My professional background is in program and project management for tech companies. What I specialize in is translating a lot of technical jargon to the rest of the company in order for them to understand how the product team is developing things, know what expectations are. So a lot of the work I do is communications and process improvement. I was laid off back in March, and so I have shifted my career, and I'm starting an interior design photography business to kind of acknowledge my passions, which are home design, project management, marry the two together. So while I am starting this new business venture, I do have some extra time. And with young kids being in the community, my husband and I are looking, this to be our forever place. Don't really want to leave once you get here. I just want to take the opportunity while I have the time to be a contributing member of the community and make sure that, I'm participating where I can, particularly for my children's future. So.
Great, thank you. I'll ask the same, well, I'll go through the committee first. Yeah, any questions, Mr. Grady?
And which committee are you looking for? And thank you.
Well, this is for the zoning board,
No.
but I was asked to join and am a member of the Historic Common,
Okay.
which is my understanding of the meetings is as needed. So we've met once and I don't know, there's not a foreseeable meeting on the calendar. So in terms of involvement and action and impact, it's relatively a light lift. So my preference and order when I was asked to rank these, that came last. But this
Well,
was,
congratulations on the new business. I wish you all the best with it.
thank you very much.
Mr. Plex?
I have the same question that you do, so I'll
Okay,
defer my time to you.
yep. Mr. Farag?
Same here.
Same here, same
Same
Julie,
here,
okay, yeah, so you did write on your application, number 1, zoning board of appeals, number 2, open space, and number 3, Cohasset Common Historic District, which we've already appointed you to. So I think we filled our slate on open space at our last meeting, if I'm not mistaken. We did, yeah, I'm getting a lot of head nods over there. Anything else, any other? I'm not saying it's not gonna happen for zoning board, I'm
No.
just, no, okay,
Yeah, no, just again, looking to contribute in different ways and use, I know that everyone's background is different. I do not necessarily have a legal background, but I do believe that there's a lot of transferable skills in terms of project and program management and process improvement that anyone who also runs a household knows how to corral folks, talk to folks, listen, understand, and kind of solve problems. So
right,
I like to do that, and that's, why I'm volunteering.
great, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and then Ms. Kelleher, come on up.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Kelleher Levine, and I live at 130 Wheelwright Farm, and I think that was all recorded. I applied for the associate position with the Zoning Board of Appeals because I thought that it was a good opportunity to have an opening, and more specifically as the associate position, because I thought that would enable me to get to know it a little bit better. But more about me. I've lived in Cohasset about 2.5 years. My husband and I moved here. We're both Massachusetts residents our whole lives. And this was the nice middle zone. And we've just fallen in love and we want to become lifelong members of the Cohasset community. And I very much am the extrovert who likes to learn about and be involved in the community. And I thought it was a great way to get involved. I learned about it through Attorney Darst, who's currently on the Zoning Board of Appeals. She invited me to their meetings. I've been to 3 or so meetings, 2 in person and a few on Zoom with the hybrid, which actually makes it very accessible to the public. Going there made it realize, so my background is I am a solo practitioner in law. I went to Boston College Law School. I graduated in 2016. I run my own practice where I mostly specialize in criminal defense and care and protection. So when the children families get involved, but I have actually counseled clients on environmental EPA issues and on zoning, pre-existing non-conforming issues as well, although not my main practice. My interest in it actually came in law school, where I was number 1 in my property law class, and my professor then recruited me to take a lot more land and environmental laws. So by the time I graduated, I actually got a certificate and designation in land and environmental law, as well as I was a teaching fellow. So while at the law school, I created a curriculum in environmental law to teach undergrads at Boston College. I have since in my professional career dovetailed and spent almost all of that in criminal law and in juvenile welfare law. But I thought this was a great way to take something that I have a passion for, as well as a community I'm falling in love with, and similar to Ms. Hernandez, start to meet members of the community. I unfortunately don't have children yet, but I'm hoping to become a member of the community, getting to know the community before I have children. While I have the time to give back, also I find it a great opportunity having the associate position available, because it is a wonderful way to learn. I mean, even in the last 4 sessions I've watched there, I've been able to parse through the zoning section, the 300s, through the E section. I've been able to see how they think about critically different things that the community brings to the table, such as the sign issues on 3A as 3A has expanded, as well as water issues and the water table as it's rising. I've seen how the board looks at it, as well as how maybe the public who doesn't necessarily deal with it day to day when they come in with their special permits view it. And I think it would be a great way to utilize my knowledge on codification and parsing through codes as well as laws, and take that critical analysis to be a member of the community.
Wow, great,
Thanks.
great, thank you. Any questions from the board? No?
One as always.
Just the same one we
Okay,
asked everybody.
okay. Any other board or committee you might be interested in?
I am happy to get involved in any way the town needs. I think the zoning board of appeals is probably the closest to match my skill set. And I know everyone else is saying that, but I do just want to get involved and get to know more members of the community. But this would be my first one. I would appreciate it. Thank you very
Great,
much.
thank you. Thank you. So to my colleagues, we are in, what I'd like to say is a happy problem where we struggle sometimes, to get boards filled, and as we're looking at, the board pages, and we have vacancy and at our last meeting, we had 2 applicants for 1 position on the planning board, which is up next. Now we have 5 for 2 open seats and 1 associate seat. And it's a happy problem, but we hate to disappoint people who are so willing to give of their time and talents and energy. So I'd like to just open it up to my colleagues to have a conversation about what we think for the zoning board. Anyone?
How do you mean, who do we pick, Madam Chair?
Yeah, I mean, this is tough. We should talk about it.
If I could start.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate all of the applications and coming up here and sharing with us your background and your interest in the positions. I was especially taken with Ms. Kelleher, not only her experience, but also the initiative she took to join the meetings already.
Mhm.
She's been attending them just out of pure interest and to see if it's a good fit for her, and her background and the fact that she's interested in the associate member position. I thought that was really wonderful, and I would support that.
Okay, great. Mr. Farag?
The zoning board is one of the most important in town, especially for boards. So when you look at the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Zoning Board, it's usually, it's one of our most litigious boards, and not necessarily because of the decisions that they make, but because you have 2 parties that come before them, usually the applicant and then the abutters. So through the years, and Chris Senior, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but during the time you're here, has the zoning board ever lost a case since you've been here as a town manager in over a decade?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And even going back before that, from the time I was on Concom, they hadn't lost 10 years before that. At least from what I can remember. The record might show different if there was 1 case there, but it's very important. It's one of the last lines of defense that the town has to protect the zoning bylaw, which, by the way, we, as all the townspeople know, we just updated in the last year. So with that being said, we need it. We don't necessarily need it. It shouldn't be all 5 attorneys on there. I mean, that's one thing. I wouldn't, being an attorney myself, I wouldn't want any board to be all 5 attorneys. That would be a frightening prospect. So, but
There's a couple of jokes in that.
yes, there are.
Yeah.
There are. but, well, I was only one on this board, so we're safe, but.
We're safe here, yeah.
Yes, but I do think that we do need some of the experience on the board, because it is the most litigious, because people come there and they come there loaded and ready. They come there with their lawyers. They're ready to, you know, if it doesn't go their way, they're going to appeal it one way or another. Either the applicant's appealing it or the abutter's going to appeal it if they get their permit, and they do for different reasons. Sometimes they do because they have a good case, and sometimes they do just to elongate the litigation and try and draw a person out so that they run out of money and never build. So for all the reasons that there are, I think when we're looking at the two spots for the people who are already on it to be reapplied on it, I think we should look at for them. And then I think for the associate position, we should, out of the three candidates, I like them all, and I want them all to get positions on town boards with the experience that they have. They have various different experiences, which I think are great and will fit different things. But I concur with Julie that I thought Mrs. Kelleher, with some of her background in zoning and some of the things that she had done, it would be a good fit regarding the associate position. So I would go for Woody and Mr. Higginson for their positions back, and then the associate to Kelleher, and then I would look for the other two candidates to put them on other town boards and see what the openings are and put them rightly on those.
Mr. Plex.
So appreciate Mr. Frog's input, especially around the nature of lawyers and when you put too many in one place, what can happen. But I think to me, that speaks to the potential of Ms. Fernandez, because I've been in meetings where there are lots of technical people around. It can be extremely helpful to have someone who can translate and bring some clarity to the issues. So I agree with you on Mr. Higginson and Mr. Chittick. I think where we are is we either have to find other positions for the folks that we can't put on the ZBA tonight, or and I don't know if the ZBA is a board that we can consider adding more associate positions. It is not. So that's that idea down. All right. Those are my comments.
Kind of desperate if you want a cultural council. Which maybe has to, it gives money to, if we get state money, we need to get the local organizations. So right now, it's not really fully functioning. My office is kind of just processing pages. It's not a heavy lift, but it's really engaging with the community. So that's an organization we desperately need to do members. So just think about that. It's not my advice.
Okay, Mr. Grady?
I'm of a mind with my colleague, Mr. Plex, Mr. Higginson, and Mr. Chittick, and I'm favoring Ms. Fernandez because I like the project manager. I also like the translation piece because, you know, I could be way out there, so it's nice to have something translated down to layman's terms. So that would be my pick, Mr. Higginson, because of his history with the town and his legal experience, and Woody and Fernandez bring a fresh approach.
Okay. Leaves it to me. Again. So
Box yourself in.
I'm gonna box myself in. So Mr. Flaherty, there is an associate member position on Conservation Commission. Would you be interested in that?
Could I have some time just to research?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
I focused on.
On this, and I understand that, but we're trying to find a home for everybody who so graciously has volunteered. I concur with my colleagues on reappointing Mr. Chittick and Mr. Higginson. I find it very hard to say thanks, but see you later. People donate their time and their talents, and it's a very, very hard thing to not reappoint someone who's been effective and attentive and invested. So I concur with that. And so it comes down to Ms. Kelleher and Ms. Fernandez. And, oh boy. I liked, Ms. Kelleher, your experience and your resume and your passion and your enthusiasm and the fact that you have watched meetings and kind of gone after that when I was on school committee, I would always say to new people, have you watched a meeting? Like, do you know what you're getting into is the question. But I concur with Mr. Grady in the sense of Ms. Fernandez's experience in translating technical things so that people can understand it. We went through the zoning bylaw review last year, and I had to bring a dictionary because it's filled with acronyms and terms and things that are in English, and I'm a fairly articulate person, but it's difficult to understand. So having someone who has the skill set to be able to translate that into what us regular folk can understand, I think is really important. I'm leaning towards Ms. Fernandez to fill the associate member, if that is agreeable to you. Okay, and Ms. Kelleher, please don't get discouraged. Call us, we'll find a place where we can use your talents, of which you have many. And I appreciate having the next generation stepping up to the plate and asking to volunteer and become part of their community in the decision-making. So with that being said, may I have a motion to reappoint Mr. Chittick and Mr. Higginson to their full member? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Chittick is also an associate member. Mr. Higginson is a full member, and to appoint Ms. Fernandez as an associate member.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you for bearing with us through this conversation. Please reach out to Tracy or the town manager's office, Mr. Flaherty, Ms. Kelleher. Call me. I'll give you my phone number again if you want it, to talk about other opportunities. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so next up, and thank you to the board for going through, taking the time to go through, because I think it's really important. So next steps on the planning board, as I mentioned in our last meeting, we had a 5-5 tie between the two candidates for the associate member on the planning board, which was vacated by the last election, where the then associate member was elected to a full membership position. And it was a 5-5 tie between the two boards. And after conferring with council, there were only a few options. There's nothing legally that tells us what the next step would be, but the options were, and I think one has been selected already, but the options were for one of the candidates to drop out. Another option was for a third party to come into play, to apply for the position. And then the other option is to defer the appointment and let because it's an elected position, let it get filled within the next election. So I believe Mr. Senior reached out to both applicants. I don't know if he received a response from either one. I know we have one here tonight.
Yeah, if I have an email, I didn't find it. I know that I sent it out Friday, but it's something.
Okay.
So if you have a live person, I can tell you what you're thinking.
Yeah, no, so we're not going to revote. The chair of the planning board and myself in a conference call, we felt that our boards had their opinions, and a revote would not yield a different result. So at this point in time, both the chair of the planning board and myself are recommending that we defer the appointment and let it run to the next election as an elected seat. Is that okay with everybody? We don't have to vote on that, do we? No.
Have we heard from anyone who might want to be a third candidate?
No, we haven't re-advertised, so, and I guess effectively you're doing that right now, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the board has functioned with 5 members for a long time in the past. It's not preferred, but it's not uncommon.
And if someone chose to drop out prior to the next election.
Yeah, you have until, you got a point, up until February, basically, next year.
Could we choose not to decide tonight to defer, but not to make it about the next election, because a third candidate could come through before the election and we could have another vote? And then it wouldn't have to go to the election. Is there any benefit to that?
Yes, well, since we're not voting, to go to the next election. It's not an immovable object that we can't change.
Got it.
So it's just to allow the two candidates who came before us to understand where we are. And if one in the next, couple of months wants to drop out, we will reconvene, and very quickly appoint that person who's left, or if a third candidate comes, we'll go through an interview and we'll redo it. But as of this moment, for Mr. McNally and Mr. DeNuno, we are not appointing anybody at this point in time, and we will defer to the next election unless the situation changes.
And I think in the interim, if there's any other boards that they could get on, that would be helpful. I know one was the Housing Trust might need some people, and there might be others as well. And for both of them, were excellent candidates. And I think if anybody was watching at home, I mean, the interviews tonight were, went fine, but I think that interview session, I mean, they were both put through basically like a Supreme Court hearing
Yeah,
for, an associate's position on the planning board. And, some of the questions were soliloquies wrapped up in an enigma, wrapped up in a question. So, so I think that, they went through quite a process for that. So I hope that they'll have a better fare going through it. And I thank them for coming forward to even do that. So hopefully we can find them on other boards at this point in time.
great. Okay, thank you. All right, so that updates that. I apologize. We are about 50 minutes behind schedule. Next up, licenses and permits. We have a filming permit for Care Access PSA. It's an Alzheimer's and heart disease research, 1 day, only filming. I'm sorry. Oh,
That's,
We're
okay.
looking at the agenda.
okay. During the week of August 18th to the 21st, 5 a.m. to 9:30. Do we have anyone here from that organization who's applying for this permit? No.
Somebody online?
Is someone online? So just while we get the person, it's one morning between 5 and 10 a.m., sometime during the week of August 18th to the 21st.
Hello there, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great.
Yep. One moment, please, Mr. Sims. And a car driving along the waterfront and Border Street with compact camera attached to the car. They'd like to have a licensed drone operator who is the exclusive drone operator for the city of Boston. No oversized vehicles, heavy equipment, or special effects of any kind. No road closures, 5 cars for a small crew of about 9 people. So Chief Quigley, since you're in the audience, has this event gone through your department?
We're good with it.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Mr. Sims, so I just, while you were logging on, I just kind of read the scope of what you're asking for. Chief Quigley has said that it is in good order with all of his requirements. Are there any questions of the board? Mrs. Rollins?
I do have a question more in terms of our process. Are the residents alerted that there will be a drone flying above their home for this period of time during the day, and might we consider doing that? Is that typically done?
They are licensed, these drone operators are licensed. Right to operate those drones.
Okay.
It's not. So they're governed by FAA rules and US code. We really don't have a lot of jurisdiction over that. And quite frankly, this drones out every day.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Farag?
No questions. I saw the package, so that's fine.
Okay, Mr. Plex?
No concerns.
Mr. Grady?
No questions.
Mr. Sims, is there anything you'd like to briefly add?
No, that's great. Thank you very much. We'll just do everything that we can to be a minimum of disruption, and the drone is no louder than a car and quieter than a motorcycle, so it shouldn't disturb anybody. Thank you. And our drone operator is a Part 107 licensed pilot as well.
Just don't crash.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the filming permit for Care Access PSA on filming during the week of August 18th to the 21st?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. Okay, next up,
Madam Chair, you had the roads and sidewalks, you had one appointment, I think you might have.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Was there one appointment on roads and sidewalks? I think it was on the agenda or not?
It's on the agenda.
No, it's true.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
added at last
Oh, it was
moment.
added.
yes,
Oh, I
added,
did.
We should, thank you so much for pointing that out.
Thank you. Yes, I did not, I didn't print a new agenda. I'm
That's
sorry.
good
Either.
agenda.
Yeah, so, we have an appointment, for Ms. Rollins. Would you take it while I fumble
Yeah, I
here?
think it's for the liaison
Yes.
to the planning commit board. It's for Brigitte, and we did not approve her during our last meeting.
Right.
Because there was a question about
Okay.
whether or not we were taking more positions.
Right, right. Okay. So in the charge for the, sidewalks, roads and connectivity, committee is a position, for a liaison from the planning board, and, Birgit Schmidt-Wesch, I think is
Yeah,
how
you
you
got
say
it.
her name,
Mhm.
has applied to be the liaison from the planning board, and we did not do that at our last meeting. So may I have a motion to approve Miss Schmidt-Wesch, as the planning board liaison to roads and sidewalks?
Well moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, now we have Public Works Department with Mr. Brian Joyce. Please come up.
Thank you. How you all doing tonight?
Good, good. We won't torture you too much.
All right, no, that's bad. So I forget what's first on the agenda here. So the roads.
Yep.
Yeah. So our road update for this paving season, and this is what we've through in conjunction with the Roads and Sidewalk Committee, two of the members here, in addition to myself. So the roads we're doing this street are Pond Street with the new sidewalk. So that's from Route 3A to King Street. That includes Hugh Strain Road, which had a new gas trench cut up the middle of it. And then King Street as well on the perpendicular intersection there where it was affected by the gas main. So that's a curb to curb gas trench funded by National Grid. We also have Beechwood Street from South Main Street to Norman Todd. Originally in our vote, we were talking about Beechwood Street in its entirety and Norman Todd in its entirety from South Main all the way to 3A. But as it turns out with some research, there's some old 1900s or 1900s vintage water main in pieces there that need to get replaced in the next year or two. So we're working with the Water Commission on getting those done. So we're doing the sections that have good water main that doesn't need to be updated, which includes South Main Street to the triangular island at Norman Todd. And we're also doing the piece of Beechwood on the left up around the hill. And I will say that section we are doing because it's in such bad shape. It does need a little bit of water main going up there, but we can't really wait with the plows and the car vehicle damage. When we do the water main, we're gonna use flowable fill, which doesn't settle, and then we can just pave the trench. So what we're gonna do is just the base layer, which will clean up the road for driving and plowing. And then we'll do the water main at some point, and then hopefully in the next year or two. And then when we do the water main trench, we'll just do a top layer coat over that and we'll be good. So we also have Bancroft Road from Pond Street down to the new tennis courts at the top of Norfolk. And Short Street, which has a brand new water main and the sidewalk there. And I also want to mention the Mass DOT work. They have 3 contracts going on currently, which one of them is the Pond Street intersection right at 3A, where they're doing pedestrian improvements and ADA compliant ramps on all 3 of the corners. And then they are connecting with another contract, a new sidewalk along 3A from Pond Street up to just short of Sawyer Street. It's going to end at the that crosswalk that was installed over to the park. Yeah, like in front of, it's not Feng Shui anymore. Yeah, that
Stoked.
Stoked. Sorry, Stoked. And then the bigger project, so those two will be done, they're in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then we have the bigger project, which is the full road reconstruction of 3A from a few hundred feet into Situate all the way up past Beechwood Street to Schofield Road. That is a 3-year project from end to end. It started last November. They're working on basically moving utility poles and gas work, and they've done a little bit of water work, but that will include a new water main for us down the middle of the road, replacing an old asbestos concrete main, and sidewalks on both sides, new curb cuts, and the 2 travel lanes in each direction will then turn into a 1 travel lane in each direction with a center turn lane and a bike lane. So that's the complete streets model of Mass DOT. So that's what's going on for road work right now. I'll take any questions on that one before we go on to the next. If anybody has any.
Go ahead.
For the paving work that's going to happen in 2025, when will that commence so that the people at home know?
So it's already commenced with, if you go to Pond Street, you'll see that we've done some drainage work and some preliminary work to get the road crews out, but the actual, our consortium contractor, TL Edwards, will be out in about 2 to 3 weeks, starting on Pond. Well, they've already given the notice to proceed for all those roads. So Short is ready to go. Pond needs a little work, and we're actually meeting with some DEP folks next week on some of the wetlands permitting there. And then, King Street, Hugh Strain, Beechwood, they'll all come out in the next, in earnest, probably in 3 weeks, and then they'll be wrapping up into the fall, I'll say to mid-October.
Okay.
The process is generally with the mill and overlays, they come in with the milling machines, they'll take off the top layer, then the cover crew will come in the next week, reset all of the covers and castings. They'll be sticking up a little bit for a few days, and then the top crew comes in and they make the final course.
So will each phase happen, so will they go from Beechwood to Short Street, like the first milling? And they'll do all the streets and then the next phase and then,
Yeah, that's correct. Once the milling crew's in town, they're gonna hit street.
okay,
Cover crews will come in, they'll hit it. So it'll be pretty much all at once, but it'll be some tough driving for a while, but everyone use caution, and there'll be signage out there.
And I'm aware of it, but for the people at home watching, could you explain when we do the paving, the consortium group, and how we do that to get the best pricing and the like, and sort of how that works?
Yeah, so we work with MAPC, it's Mass Area Planning Council. Yeah, so they have a good program where they bid out several of the community's needs, and so we don't do the procurement, and the communities pool all of the tonnage together for our paving. And we get a better price. We get a better price than Mass DOT on our paving by pooling all of our quantities. That's the good side. The downside is that you have one contractor winning it, and we're all sharing the construction season from May to October, trying to schedule this one contractor. So that it works out, but that's usually the challenge in the end. Trying to get they're finishing up one town's roads, and then they get to. So once they get to our town, we try to keep them going until they're all done.
Thank you.
anyone else?
Quick question, this might be off topic. Brian, if we build a subdivision, we don't require, since, roads are sorry, we don't require subdivision contractors to put in sidewalks on those subdivisions, do we?
I would defer to the zoning people in the room.
Right
No, I would say there are subdivision standards, and if I don't know if there's any area in town, but if you're building a brand new subdivision, there are subdivision standards, which do include drainage, sidewalks, road width, and things of that nature. And, we follow those, criteria of roads and drainage when we're doing our own work, but ours is pretty much built up.
Beat our own work at the punch and see if we can get ahead of the curve next time, no pun intended. So Ms. Fernandez, you may have your work cut out for you in translating to us.
Okay,
Thanks, Brian.
okay,
Sure.
great, thank you.
So I think next we're talking about either drainage or
MWRA,
MWRA. Okay, so we were approached, and this is another consortium effort with multiple communities. We were approached by, well, let me back up. MWRA realized that they, you know, with water conservation and more, that they had some capacity and about 40 million gallons a day. And they've waived until I think 2028 or 29, the admission, for lack of a better term, an admission fee. So a group of South Shore communities, Hingham, Hull, Abington, Rock, Orwell, Hanover, Cohasset, and Situate. It was kind of spearheaded by Hingham. We all went through a feasibility study of connecting to MWRA for our water needs. So they went through the analysis over the past year and a half and came up with a study, and basically the connection, so the MWRA water service, the sewer service goes down to the north, the east, northwest side of Hingham, but the water service ends in Quincy. So this would be to connect, you know, these South Shore communities to either the Blue Hills covered storage tanks or somewhere in Quincy where the transmission mains come from the tunnels and feed that storage tank. And then, you know, how would we get, how would we route the pipelines and then come up with a cost share, a cost analysis, and it also included, you know, do we wheel water from one community through another rather than just have a single transmission main that delivers to everybody? Anyway, it was a multi-faceted study, and ultimately it comes down to the, you know, what's allowable by permitting. If we were going to connect with MWRA, what's the cost and what kind of permitting hoops we would need to jump through. If you go to the next slide, please, I think we get into the cost there. So the capital costs were developed, you know, and these are opinions of probable costs using, I think it was $25. If you go to the next slide, please. Again, there were multiple alternatives, 2, 4, 6, 8 alternatives. The 1C and 1D and 2C and 2D were the alternatives that included Cohasset and Situate. And Cohasset and Situate, if you just know by the map, we're the furthest on the line. So they, you know, trying to get the pipelines all the way out here actually added about 60 to 85% more cost than the other, just getting water to the other communities. So, you know, not having gone through negotiations of how to split that pie, I imagine if we were one of the other communities, we wouldn't say, all right, we'll just, you know, we'll build you a pipeline and go out there. So if you go to the next slide, this is really kind of the bottom line here. So we were looking at a capital, and then again, this is an opinion of probable cost based on the study, a capital cost of $80 to $106 million to get the water down here, right? And after that, you still we would need a Woodard and Curran to, you know, still operate and maintain the distribution system. Next slide, please. Again, so I just highlighted you know, to get it down here, that's 60 to 85% higher than serving just the other communities. And one of the other main factors in the decision, so I should say the decision is we opted not to proceed with this because if we went with MWRA, we wouldn't also need to exhaust that all alternative water supplies are, we couldn't use them. And right now we have pretty much a wealth of water compared to our other local communities who have water restrictions every summer. You know, in 1970, late 70s, the town planners built, you know, Aaron River Reservoir and Lily Pond and Bound Brook Dam, and the projections were a population in excess of 20,000 people, and we're 8,500 with no, you know, we're not getting to 20,000 people. So anyway, we have a wealth of water, but there are water quality, you know, challenges. Our treatment plant was built at the same vintage, 1979-ish thereabouts. So we have a traditional water treatment plant that's going to need some capital improvements in the next, 5, 10, 15 years. And we're weighing those costs versus building a pipeline to MWA, really. That's kind of what you're looking at. And the capital assessment that the Water Commission went through in the past couple of years was one done in 2023. We were looking at, in those dollars, it was like 35 to 53 million, upgrading the new plant or building a brand new plant adjacent to our existing water plant. So, today, so you're looking at like 40, 60 million versus 80 to 100 million plus you still have the other. So, and the challenge is that we probably wouldn't be able to get it permitted to, for the interbasin transfer, and that we have a decent water supply. So that's really, in a nutshell, what the MWA study was, and kind of the ultimate decision that we're going to go with the local option. We've already done some studies in the past few years on the major challenge going forward is not just the age of the plant and high iron manganese, but also PFAS, which is an emerging contaminant that's going to be we'll need to meet the regulations in a couple of years. So we've looked at we've got a study that did a preliminary design for a new filtration system behind the plant. And that was mainly for TOC, which is organic compounds, but it could be modified in a way for PFAS when we realize what the regulations are going to be and when they're going to hit us. So I'll take any questions on that.
You look ready.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to jump on this one. Thanks. Just so that people know, with the MWRA study, if you go on their website, they were looking to expand the MWRA not just to the south, but to the west and to the north. And part of the real reason behind it all is that Massachusetts needs more housing. And so you can't get housing if you don't have sewer and you don't have water. So it doesn't matter if it fits the zoning or not, or if you jump the zoning. So with that being the guide, the MWRA does what they do, which is water and sewer. They were looking to make connections wherever they could doing it, and it'll be over the 20-year period. It's not going to be overnight. But as Brian said, we're at the end of that southern portion, so we're the farthest away from it. So the costs are going to be exponential in comparison to everyone else. Now, the one thing that this town has done correctly through the years, and doing it with some foresight, was build the Erin River Reservoir to give us enough water so that we had a surplus of water, which is beyond what most towns have. But the issue is you have to distribute that water. So you have to clean it and make sure it's distributable. And without jumping in front of the Water Commission, they're, as you've heard from the different street projects, they're replacing all the water mains as much as they can when they do a street project. But the long and the short is that our plant is old and it's going to need to be updated. And those costs are going to be, I can't tell you what they'll be finally, but if you look at Situate's building a brand new water plant, and that's $60 million, and that's what they're doing. So with that being said, I wholeheartedly agree that we should not connect with the MWRA and we should look for our own solution. Because one of the problems was if we did connect with them, even though we had a surplus of water in the beginning of the summer, if they were on water restrictions because of other places, we would be on water restrictions too. So you'd be driving by our 1 million or 2 million gallons and be on water restrictions in the middle of the summer, saying, well, why can't they do that? Well, if MWRA is on water restrictions, then we would be too. So I think for all those reasons, it's a good idea. But we are going to need to update those plans, and in updating them over time, we currently sell water to Hingham with Linden Ponds. There is, I believe, a pipe that goes to Situate. Both of those, we should ask the Water Commission to explore, that if we do build a new plant and we do get more capacity, that we could sell more water to those towns to offset the cost of the plant. It won't pay for it all, but at least it can take out some of the sting for what's going to be coming down the road. To me, that would be the most sensible path that we should try to look to, and again, do the estimates around that. But at the end of the day, we're going to need a new water plant, and that's the way it's going to be with all the federal regulations and everything coming down the line, because the old plant can't do it. So that's where we're stuck with. And the water plant is one of the many different capital projects. You've got the police station, you've got the Elm Street Station, you've got the schools, and then the water plant. Those are kind of encapsulate all of the major capital plans for Cohasset for the next 10 or 15 years. So with that being said, thank you.
Anyone else on water?
Just,
Go ahead.
I'll save my PFAS speech for another day when we're closer to a decision point, but that is critically important. And I would echo one particular point from Mr. Farag's comments that we've got a lot of these big capital items coming up and they're needs. They're not wants. They're all unfortunately expensive. So none of us like the price, but we still need them. So sorry, guys, it's coming.
Sorry to interrupt, one thing I was gonna mention is I think with Situate building their plant that we should, with the Water Commission, be watching how they build that and or have a delegation be working with Situate on that. Now that we've sort of have a detente with them and are able to
For now.
work hand in glove, because because as we're driving by, we're seeing it being built, but I think we should look at what's being done right with that, what's being done wrong, and we can take that into account when we come to that decision point as well. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, great. Drainage update.
Sure. So the drainage update, this was going to be last meeting, which was a little closer to the storms,
Yeah.
which kind of was the reason for the update. So the storms from July 8th to the 11th, and the big rains was really on the 10th. We had a significant amount of rainfall. There was flooding around town. James Brook watershed in particular, we had tide gate in our stormwater mode operation, which is typical during any storm or nor'easter. There were a lot of catch basin and culverts that needed to be emergency cleaned throughout the day, just from the amount of flow. Our sewer treatment plant was not inundated, but it was it had to go into high flow bypass mode, which means that it went from tertiary treatment of the sewage to just primary disinfection and then discharge. And that requires notices to DEP and other authorities. That happens because of stormwater flows that infiltrate our gravity sewer systems and our manholes. And sometimes there are illicit discharges where people's gutters might go into to their sewers or it's not intentional, but things get plumbed some way, and realize when you have these type of flows, it just the plant goes from 300,000 gallons to 1,000,001 in a pretty short amount of time. So that high flow bypass was for a good majority of the day on the 10th. On facilities, we were dealing with the high school electrical room had some really significant flooding, and it's happened a few times in the past, but this particular storm was really evident right underneath where the 440 volt breakers come in, right to the back, inches away. There was a column of water pushing up about 3 or 4 inches. I don't know if you have the video, Kev. Okay, great. So you can see this is video taking of the flooding coming in behind, in the electrical room, covering the entirety of the electrical room, and you can understand the danger of arc flash and
Yeah.
fire and health and safety. All right, so that's the electrical cabinet right there, and you can see the water pouring into the back of the wall, and that's just that's groundwater head pressure coming up. And after
High school?
that's at the high school, it's the main electrical room feeding the high school. So if you're at Alumni Field and you're staring at the high school and you see that little garage door right there, just inside the right hand of that garage door is where the electrical room is. So we did some investigation, tracing, the high school in this area was renovated in 2000, and there were, a lot of plumbing changes, a lot of drainage changes. One drainage change was the interior courtyard that's in the middle of the high school. There's some gardens and some plantings between the library and kind of a hallway there. that drainage goes to an 8-inch pipe that goes underneath the electrical room. Ultimately, we took out our old cleanout, we found it was broken underneath the electrical room. That's causing and it was also broken beyond the foundation wall. So there was nowhere for this water to go that's coming in there, other than the soil, which, was super saturated. So we're in the process of doing an emergency repair. We're grabbing that pipe where it's exposed on the wall and trenching out through that garage door that I explained out to the drainage straight out to the street. And then we're abandoning that old broken pipe under the electrical room, obviously, because digging up the electrical room would be extremely expensive. So that's another thing that was discovered and getting fixed. CZM, we put in a CZM grant application. This is before the storm, but we've looked at coastal flooding and inundation. So Woods Hole Group came in and did a study in the past few years of, coastal flood sword coming in through by Elm Street and across Summer Street and inundating Jacobs Meadow. But what we found in a lot of these recent storms is we're not really breaching the walls we're not at the point where ocean rise has gotten to the point where we're breaching the walls on a regular basis. It's really the flood water coming down Jacobs Meadow and James Brook. So James Brook is about, 15 to 20% of the land area, the watershed that pours in there of Cohasset. It's a huge watershed. It goes from Sanctuary Pond, piece of the golf course, Forest Ave, all those hills, the hillsides from the high school come down in there. So, you get 1 to 5 inches of rain on that watershed. It comes down pretty fast. So the next study we're putting in for this, we put in for a grant application. We'll hopefully find out in a month or two. If we win, we're going to look at some flood mitigation on how to slow that flow from coming down to Jacobs Meadow and inundating, the village area. And I think if you look at the picture on the top there, which was flooding on 3A, and there was a car stuck in it during that storm on the 10th. Really, when DOT went out there, they found that their catch basins and all their drainage was clear. It was just a capacity thing that it was such a large volume of water that it couldn't go into the size of the pipes. And I was saying to the chief and others at the time, like, it's a good thing for us that actually flooded and held it back, because had that water rushed into Sanctuary Pond and down to Jacobs Meadow, we'd be looking at the downtown village area underwater from, the post office all the way through, the town parking lot and all that. So it's really, it's a measure. You need to slow the water down and not let it, just clearing the roads immediately is not the answer, this study, we're looking at the off-country portions of James Brook where there's no residential areas, and maybe doing some sort of detention area when you have high flows, that would slow it down a little. We also are doing some I&I work with the sewer plant. And, we found that Deer Hill is Cook Estates recently connected to Deer Hill. So we're doing some I&I study up there. We found that there was some large flows coming in during the rainfall, and maybe gutters and things of that nature. Sorry, next slide, please. So we just had some pictures of the flooding. So we had 3A, that's the north section of 3A by the Cohasset Family Health, and then on the south side down by Aubuchon, the road. Next slide, please. Again, the Treats Pond area, which is a historical flood area. We've fixed the pipe that discharges from here, but Treat Pond was an embayment of the ocean at one point, so it's a really low, close to sea level thing. So if you have a high tide, and this is similar with even Jacobs Meadow and down by the hotel, the water that's coming down the watershed is not going out to the harbor until the harbor goes down and lets that water out. So if you have a high tide at the time of this storm flow, it's just waiting for the low tide to go, the tide to go out. And that's the condition down at Treat Pond too. Again, this is Jacob's Meadow by the American Legion there. You can see the grate over on the right-hand side, the staff were down there. You know, you can imagine all the phragmites and weeds that were coming down with the flow. It was just a constant raking battle. Next slide. So this is just kind of an eye-opening thing. We got a lot of rain in town, but the variability just within town was pretty remarkable. So we had, I have rain gauges at the water treatment plant, which is over by Lily Pond, the wastewater treatment plant, which is down by the harbor, and then we got some data from the Cohasset golf course. So 3 different sections, and if you look at the water treatment plant, it was 2.5 inches rain. I'm just giving you the high values. So 2.5 inches rain is equivalent to about a 2-year storm. It's not the biggest ever. It's really a lot of rain, but a 2-year storm doesn't mean it happens every 2 years. It means it's a probability thing. There's a 50% chance in any given year that you will have a storm of that amount. And then at the wastewater treatment plant, we had a little over 3.5 inches of rain, which is equivalent to a 5-year storm. And again, it's not that it happens every 5 years. There's a 20% chance annually each year that you'll have that type of storm. At the golf course, they got 5.5 inches of rain, and this is all these values are in a 24-hour period. And that's a much bigger storm. Again, it's not the worst. It's not a 100-year storm. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is a 100-year storm." It was not that, but it was a lot in a short amount of time. So that was equivalent to about a 25-year storm, which again, that's a 4% chance in any given year that you'll have something of that amount. So just going to the next slide, this is kind of shows what the, yes, slide please.
That's it.
Oh, that's it? Oh, so are there slides before that? All right, so anyway, the next slide was supposed to be recommendations on residents. So just, check your grates and gutters in your house, make sure that they're open, your sump pumps are working. And also visit the FEMA website. It's if you Google FEMA map center, flood map center, and you put in your address, you'll see what the worst flood condition, the 100-year storm is in your area. And if you look at Elm Street area, this flood was contained pretty much to Jacobs, maybe a little bit beyond the James Brook. If you look at the 100-year storm down there, it covers Elm Street.
This was recommendations if you want to read.
Sure. Yeah, so investigate your household sources of I&I, which is make sure your gutters are going to a dry well and not your sewer, your sanitary sewer. And check the FEMA Flood Map Center, know your own risk for flooding and prepare your home for that. And check your drainage on your property. So that's really all I had for drainage update. I'll take any questions.
Anyone? Chris?
Just briefly, I know it's late. So nothing was broken, nothing was in need of repair. It was just a capacity issue.
Right. So there was, the only clogs were just debris that was coming down, and it was kind of a staffing issue. You'd go around and rake the grates and things like that, but there was nothing broken. And I think maybe not this storm, but there was one over the winter where we were communicating and you're saying that, there was no flow down by Ripley Road and coming under the post office. But again, we're really close to sea level there. And at that time, that particular storm, we had a storm surge. And when you have rain coming down and there's a high tide, a storm surge, that rain has nowhere to go. So it's just going to build up until the harbor lets it out. So, and then once it does let it out, you'll see everything kind of coming out. And that's usually the condition when people are noticing things, particularly in the lower areas around the village, Brook Street, Elm Street, Summer Street. It's a tidally influenced area.
Anyone else?
Yes, thank you for that presentation. Briefly, after seeing all the drainage, we kind of know most of the drainage in town. But the one on 3A, I think, was the most, the one that stood out because we've never gotten that kind of bad drainage there at 3A. I had my office there years ago, and even on the Concom when we redid some of the areas around there. And 3A was basically shut down so that emergency vehicles couldn't get around unless they were going to go cut up Lower King Street and then get on to, Forest Ave or North Main. So with what Mass Highway is saying, I mean, there's got to be something else going on there, whether there was stuff blocking it or debris or whatever, because like I said, we've just never seen that before. And it was so bad that, I mean, we had news crews down there, reporting on it. Now, normally when there's storms, news crews are in Situate because of because of all the low-lying areas that they have there, but they're not coming here to 3A. So I think that's something we're gonna have to look at and view, and if there's other things that we need to add on our end to slow it down as it goes to Jacobs Meadow, but we're probably still gonna have to work hand in glove with Mass Highway on that, because that just can't happen, that we've got a major highway shut down because of that. And it's not that people should be driving, it's for the emergency vehicles, for them to get by, so.
Yeah,
Just a comment.
so I mean, it's fortunate they're working on the 3 projects in town. So everything on the south side down by Aubuchon, all that area is getting brand new drainage and catch basins like that. But I will mention, because we have 2 years of progress meetings with them, the north side, and we can, at least have them camera underneath the roadway. This was mainly maintenance crews going out, pulling the drains, making sure they were clear there.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else on floods and drainage? No. So now we will move on to the RTF update. We have all the materials, as we know, you're gonna stay in the hot seat?
I'll stay here.
Oh, okay,
I'll have Frank join me.
Yeah, please bring a chair up. And, so at town meeting, the enterprise fund was not approved by the voters of Cohasset. That being said, we still have a budgetary issue that we need to resolve, and regarding fees and process of funding. We have $200,000 in the operational budget. I think we're looking for $500,000 to close the gap of the operational cost of the RTF. And so that's what we're here to talk about tonight. And so I don't know if you want to give an update on what's going, I've had a few questions about what's going on at the RTF right now with some trailers being delivered and some other things. There was a post of some Nick doing some wiring, I believe.
Sure. So I'll probably skip the next couple slides because we'll go through the pricing in a minute, but go to the pictures, or at least the first picture there. Yeah, so this is, we have the new office trailer, which is replacing the temporary trailer that was put up after the fire. It's got, heat, AC, and plumbing, bathroom. What was in that place was the textiles and the e-waste, right?
Tin cans, yeah.
Yeah, and so those were temporarily moved over where you're looking at where the blue building is. Ultimately, they're gonna go where we're gonna be paving the area that's on the opposite side in front of the salt shed. If you're looking from the RTF at the salt shed, that area's been graded and cleared. It's gonna be paved next week. And that is intended to be, I forget what the name you gave it. It was like
That's the
village or something like that.
That's the building.
Yeah, so, yeah, so it'll be boutique, Boy Scouts, and also the textile and the e-waste will go over there. Slide. Yeah, so we also have Frank procured a propane storage on the left,
Propane cage.
and the right one
That's for batteries.
Okay.
We're gonna be able to bring battery recycling back online once the temporary, the rental trailer is removed.
So those are fireproof boxes. That trailer is getting moved hopefully in the next week. This is the area I was referring to that's going to be paved next week, where there'll be a boutique and Boy Scouts and the waste and textiles. I think that the last one. So this is what, well, that's what it used to look like at the glass on the left-hand side. And to the right of that, we have a new compactor, which is for plastic. Next slide. This one, you can see, well, on the right-hand side, there were 2 pictures of the old cardboard building. This is This is part of the automation that Frank has helped us come along with, that building was built 25, 30 years ago because of the compactors at the time had a long piston. And, the staff were there taking your material, walking it 15 feet over the piston. Now the pistons are much shorter, so we were able to get a self-loading, so we're automating where the consumers are directly depositing and cutting out, the extra labor that we need to do. And in place of that now, Frank procured new glass and tin containers.
We have two roofed recycling containers with stations and sections, and we open the doors and we fill as we go. That's an ADA compliant ramp. So the residents come in, instead of staff handling the glass from bins and throwing it and breaking, they're now just deposited from the resident themselves. So we've eliminated another handling of the commodity.
Next slide. This is the first compactor Frank brought online. It's again, this compactor is in place of that cardboard building where, staff are transferring it 15 feet and you're putting your own paper and cardboard in there. It's getting compacted and disposed of. Or recycled, I should say. So you can go back to the first slides.
Does anyone have any questions on the layout and the progress in terms of disposal of different items?
No.
No, looks great.
No, it does.
Okay. So now we'll talk about
So this slide is just a fee comparison for stickers. And we're looking at Situate, Hanover, Plymouth, Duxbury, and Cohasset. Some of them have a beach and RTF, as we do. Hanover does not. And you can see by Situate's at 140, plus 35 for their beach, a total of 175. Hanover does not have the beach, but they're at 345 for their RTF sticker. Plymouth is 190 and 70 for a total of 260. That's for the RTF and beach. And Duxbury's 105 and 120, totaling 225. Now we have a unified sticker for beach and RTF, and we are proposing a 150 beach sticker or RTF, or all facility sticker, I should say.
So the conversation we've been getting from residents, want to have multiple stickers and multiple handles, right? If we can keep it simple. And while there's most certainly people with private pickup, most people use the RTF at some point for something. You're doing some work at the house, you had a party, you had extras on Christmas, maybe your pickup guys can come out, or you need extra to dispose of. And by doing it this way, we take the first fee from every house, from the primary 150. That would go to fund the RTF operations. Second, third, fourth is actually apparently family that's non-stickers reporting. And the extra stickers would go it's not very common. Most people have one, some have two. Second sticker would be 75 as they are today. Those are all run right to the budget. They do traditionally. So that'll become this week base for the funding of the RTF. And again, I thought it was useful to show that we've had this unified sticker, but a lot of other communities have other fees. I mean, Hanover is an example that doesn't, but I think it was important to show the value that the double sticker gets you. I mean, it's also it's Rocky Beach. People go down there too. That's also parking all over the place in town, primarily the same beach. That's what
Government Island.
Government Island, Parker Ave.
Parker Ave, yeah, it's a parking component, not just a beach sticker.
Yeah, Sandy gets all the publicity.
Yes,
It's the other places too.
right.
So 150 per vehicle?
But the second stickers, all facilities will be 75, just like they are today. So it's just that one increase on the one fee. Seniors, which 30 now, we're going to 60 for the first sticker, then back to 30 for any second sticker. So it's only $30.
Multiple cars, I mean, for instance, I just, daughter.
Yeah, so you have the second sticker at the same price as it is, 75. It's only the first sticker that would change. $75. So we think we can make that work based on, we did a great big analysis, and thanks for Dana, Michelle, and I have talked, Brian and Frank, and so the town sells over 5,000 stickers. 3,000 of them are primary stickers, either the first sticker or the only sticker in house. And there's a fair chunk of those that are seniors. And so based on the numbers, we figure there's a minimum of 2,000 base stickers that will be sold even at this price and 1,000 senior stickers. And the budget on a share that incorporates that. That would become the foundation to make this all work. I mean, it is an increase. I'm not going to minimize that. It's also lower than we had been talking about last year, and I think it really does make it appreciate.
May I ask something?
Yes.
I think there are also proposed RTF fee increases for the items that will be dropped off, and including the 2 sizes of bags, the blue bags.
Sure.
And I'm sure people have questions about that. Would you be able to share those proposed?
Sure, I could share,
as well?
the amounts, and then I think Frank can probably talk more about like that, because there's an analysis of what actually costs the town.
Yeah.
So there's a 16-gallon bag and a 33-gallon bag, and
Yeah.
Frank can talk about.
I think we have a slide. Is the next slide,
But it's a very.
That's the budget.
It's a very loud.
that one there?
It's very hard to find.
It looks like, I have a
I
print.
get the more small one, I get the one
I do,
That's probably,
if you want this.
so it's a dollar, it's $1.60. Proposals go to $2 for the 16 gallon, $4. And right now, again, Frank and Brian, actually cost $1, $1.75 to dispose of the waste of one smaller bag because of how much we pack in it. And with 33 gallon, it can cost almost $3.85, or only getting $2. So actually, it's not paying for something because of the cost of disposal. So this would just bring the cost into better alignment with the actual charges. Which is what the state, by the way, encourages you to do. That was the point of the paper through.
Thank you.
On the proposed fees, it wasn't on there, but if you could announce, because we have a senior sticker, so if you could announce what that is going up to, it was just the regular fee of the 150. So.
Right, and so right now the senior is 30, we propose it for 60 for the first sticker, which is, and then again, 30, if there's additional senior sticker, 30. Today. So it's a 30, it'd be a 30, one time for a $30. I know Brian, if I want to go through any of these stickers.
Yeah, I'll let Frank, you want to talk about the weight, your
well,
weight calculation?
well, from the first time we met, I think we all agreed that we needed to move pricing up because they haven't been done in 7 or 8 years. But I believe you put the charges, we don't want to make money, we at least want to cover our costs. So just the bags. So the bag probably cost the town 40 cents, 45 cents with the new contract. That's just for the bag cost. The price per pound leaving the station of waste is probably 9 to 11 cents per pound. So industry average of what folks come in, let's take the 33 gallon. That's the most durable. It's a thick bag, 35 to 40 pounds at 10 cents a pound. There's your $3.50, $4
Right.
per bag. So we're trying very hard to increase to cover our costs and not put more burden on the resident. We've looked at every vendor in there. We've made some changes in contractors to get more efficient and better pricing for some of the material going out. Because right now, everything that leaves the station costs us money, everything. And you know, there's a lot of items that are not charged, so we don't have a charge when we bring on batteries or bulbs. We try to factor that in with the e-waste. Waste oil, should take delivery of about a 500-gallon waste oil tank anytime now. So we've made some provisions to bring that commodity back online. So we're really very conscious of our pricing and all with the thought, let's at least cover our costs. Just can't run, in my opinion, you can't run anything and lose money because it won't be sustainable. Just
Right.
won't.
Which is why we are where we are. Right.
Along with that too, we've made a lot of safety improvements, both for residents and staff. If you noticed, the Jersey barriers are gone, safety rails, the signage. Today, we installed the last of our fire extinguishers. So we're consciously improving logistics and the feel of the station. We've worked very hard with our staff. By freeing them up to handle the commodities, we're able to help residents take heavy items out of their cars or direct them better or answer questions. We can have a conversation instead of constantly running back, push. So that's part of the whole package that.
Great. Are there any comments or questions regarding the sticker strategy and pricing? Mr. Flex?
I may be jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm fully in support of the increase in the sticker price and the increase in the fees. I did get a useful comment from the community, though, that it might be worth giving this a little more time before we vote on it. And I think that's worth consideration. But I am fully in support of the proposal as it sits in front of us today.
But there's no immediate need to change the fee. The current stickers are gonna be good till March, so that you don't have to take any action on that tonight. The one program I'd like you to consider is the concept of creating a pilot program for non-residents. A maximum of 300 people and a sticker fee of $300. It would take us probably a month to spin that up. We know that there are people who have private cars in other neighborhood and our immediate adjacent neighbors that are not getting picked up right now, or are maybe having challenges. We also know that Paul has no pickup, there's no municipal pickup whatsoever. They also want to be respectful. This is would be represented in less than 10% of the actual. So we want to see how it works. If somebody would actually pay, it's happen. We think that we'd have some, they have to buy the bags and everything else. But it would be an opportunity for,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have the capacity.
Yeah, an RTF's only sticker, I'll just clarify.
Yeah, but just be, yeah,
Wouldn't be
have
big
this-
too.
this is strictly, it would be a different kind of a thing just for the RTF.
Right.
Probably something like placards.
Have we gauged the interest? I mean, is there any outside interest? Just wondering if we've done any.
I would say just based on, what we've heard, that there's no pickup and it's all private pickup. They're constantly changing the private pickups being bought and sold. And I think they would like probably to have a more steady solution.
Place to put it.
And that could be town of Cohasset while adding revenue to the RD.
But only a limited number, right? It would be a cap of 300 and see if it works. And if it does, and it's not impacting, then we can talk more. Just a try.
Would that 300 go towards the RTF?
Yes,
budget?
100, this 100. So,
Got it.
so that's a very good question. So it's really important that an enterprise fund be established so we can keep the revenue segregated.
Mhm.
And in the memo that I shared with the board, which we'll share with the public, if this doesn't happen, because we have a gap now that blew up at town meeting, and we're gonna have to fix it in the fall. If this becomes an enterprise fund, we can keep the revenue segregated, we can make it work. If we don't, because of the way the extra revenue gets broken right now, there's no way to change the tax rate or anything, so that's not really that either. Absent cuts, the permit fee would have to go to $385, generate the same revenue than $150 permit fee strictly to the RD. And with the paper throw bags, instead of 2 and 4, we have to go to $5 and $10.
Wow.
Just because of the way the revenue gets broken. So if there's not a separate fund for the RDF, we can't dedicate the revenue. Well, again, it's just the reality. And it wouldn't, I think people are reasonable. I don't know if people want to start paying fees of that size. I wouldn't recommend it either. I don't think it's reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, could you just, for the people in the audience, just a fast delivery of the difference in the enterprise and the RTF, where that money goes, and again, why we have to raise fees, just so, again, just a quick overview and just a.
So, our water and sewer operations are separate entities. They stand alone and fees pay for the service. And they've operated like that for a long time. Generally, you don't create an enterprise fund unless there's a steady generated revenue source and dedicated expenses. For a long time, the intent just kind of operated, it's part of DPW, and it's kind of the backside of what you do. No disrespect to the work there, but plowing roads, land pavement, cutting trees, it's just been there, right? And once upon a time, it was easy to do. Regulations have become far more complicated, as Frank knows and lives in, Brian too. Far more complicated, and the industry is far more complicated. And the other reality is cost amount, but we used to generate a fair amount of money from recycling. As Frank's saying, we're actually generating nothing right now. In fact, it's costing us. That said, we need to do it. It's important to do. We're generating a decent amount of revenue from doing it. And we still have to pay the bills, right? I mean, when the revenue, a load of garbage comes in, we have to send that, we gotta pay for it. So in order to match the fees, in order to trash service is something that should, or the RTM is something that could be set aside because it's a dedicated revenue source. And it's fees that go right. If you want to dump an appliance, the money should go right to it. Right? We do use revolving funds for small things like seniors. Those are for programs. It's simple, right? You go to a Pilates, you pay the instructor, it's all in one revolving. That's generally thousands of dollars. We're talking about a fund that would go through, $750,000 with lots of contracts. It's far more complicated. The other thing, and it's something like this, we talk about the new equipment. You want to be able to set aside money in reserve funds that are dedicated and get time and extra things. So there's always checks and balances, like water and sewer have. So if it's got to need to be a new, Frank says 10 years, you got to put aside money. You put aside money so that it'll get paid for. And then by the way, if revenue comes in and we're getting extra revenue, we can bring the fees back down for residents. If we get a lot of revenue from an outside source, that's great. And it's not impacting service. So an enterprise fund allows you to do that and manage it in like a business. In fact, it's what requires you to.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, just for the public, because I've kind of believed it. Just a quick, the difference is, why can we afford to offer less of a sticker? Because the money that we're generating now that's coming in, the RTM,
doesn't go
a good chunk of that goes someplace else. That's what I think.
The general revenue goes right into the general fund and gets cut. So there's base expenses that everyone shares, but there's been a formula that's existed for a very long time. So new revenue gets split 61-39. Schools down. It's been like that for a very long time, and that's how it's been operating, which is fine for general revenue. And everything, even the school aid, technically gets split that way too. Though that only pays for a small fraction of the actual education expenses. And it's fine if you have general revenue that can go to anything, right? That's meals tax, excise tax, all that stuff goes in the pot. And that said, these are costs. If you're dropping off a lunch, you got to pay for the appliance. And if you're paying $10 for it, we're only getting $3.90 for it. We still have to pay $10 for it. So the revenue has to come from somewhere. And what's been backfilling it is the property tax. And it doesn't. This is an area where you can legitimately and very appropriately segregate it out and then match the fees and the costs. So is that I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is a quick overview. So, that's what I mean. 6139. 39 is designed to utilize to run all town facilities, and other things.
Right.
All right, where the 61 is primarily, it goes towards schools and education. So that's just what I want people to know. 39 cents is used right now to manage the rest of the town. And so any money coming in, so that $10 refrigerator, 60 cents basically, or 61 cents is going.
Into the pot, and in effect,
39 is keeping the lights on.
Yeah, I mean, if I could make an analogy, and we've talked about it a few times, is so you buy a roll of bags right now for $20. Of that $20, it's called PAYT, pay as you throw bags. So the intent, I think, when it was invented was that what you're buying is paying for what you're throwing. But of that $20, the first, $12 and 30-40 cents is going to the schools. The rest of that $7.60 is going to support the rest of the town. Was it $40 million, whatever the budget is, You know, and then the small portion, that is the RTF of that entire town budget, it's only getting about 16 to 20 cents of that $20 bill to support it. So as an enterprise fund, you buy that roll of bags for $20, that $20 goes right to the enterprise funds. It doesn't go anywhere else. So I think that, at least in my mind, is an analogy that kind of.
Also, I'd be clear, but the adult budget, so the schools will not be impacted by any of these changes. So the budget we're anticipating now, all that's being borne of this big giant gap that we're sitting on, it was going to affect everybody, it's Phil, but the budget was built so that the revenue, the
It's
small
the differential.
yeah, so the schools were not hurting at all.
Oh, sure.
Is planning. Unfortunately, so we had a $500,000 hole without Phil, and this would fill it simply and easily without affecting anybody else or any operating budgets for 26, and make it clean going forward. Otherwise, we have to do something else.
Mr. Plex?
But just in terms of what's on the agenda for tonight, it's just the fees, not enterprise fund. And part of the reason I'm bringing this up, and I apologize if I could finish, part of the reason I'm bringing this up is we're 90 minutes behind schedule. We're going down a very interesting topic of the enterprise fund. I don't think we should be talking about it tonight. It's not even on the agenda.
The board can handle this in whatever method it wants. This is a change.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Farag?
Thank you. I want to thank town manager, assistant town manager, because at the last town meeting, it was asked that a business plan be created regarding the fees and sort of what we got was an Excel spreadsheet. Now just ask that this just be posted so that the community can digest this for into our next meeting. And I do agree with Mr. Plex that everything that was talked about tonight regarding the RTF, that the community get to see and digest everything that we did. I would bring up that also at last town meeting was brought up about maybe doing crash another way contract like other towns do. And for those people who thought that we should get a contract, I would like to ask them, how would you like to have Republic right now as your trash picking up carrier and having trash all over the town of Cohasset because they can't perform the contract that they were given because they're in a union negotiation. So we've traditionally had a dump/RTF in this town. Some towns don't, and they've had trash pickup since the beginning of time. That's fine too. But I do think to make this run in the most efficient way possible, to run it as close to a business as you can, going to an enterprise fund, which we will need town meeting support for, that's the way to do it with what's been proposed here. When you have an enterprise fund, and I don't need to go off topic for Mr. Plex, you basically have, there's usually three that you can have. The most obvious are water and sewer, and then if you do trash, that's a third one that's usually covered in an enterprise fund, the most likely. And this would do that, and it would set us up just like other municipalities. It's not anything exotic or what have you. So I would just ask that these get posted, the business plan gets posted so people can read it, go through it. If they have any questions, they can certainly pass them along. And then hopefully at the next meeting, we can hopefully move on because and also to let people know there is a senior discount in here as well, which certainly helps. So thank you for all your work on this.
Ms. Rollins, anything?
No.
Nothing. Okay, so we have a suggestion to let the fee structure germinate with the public and come back at our next meeting and vote on it, with the exception of the out of town proposal for stickers. Is that,
You can wait till the next meeting.
you want to wait till the next meeting? Okay.
Because of what I said, that's very good.
Okay, so, thank you. So our next meeting, you won't have to go through all of this. We have all the information. I don't expect it to change, between now and the next meeting, and we will vote at the next meeting. Thank you. I just want to say, I have had comments about how helpful people are. You mentioned it earlier, that they're not pushing bins around with recyclables, but they're out there actually helping people. And it's a change that's been noticed. So thank you. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. I apologize for the late
Thank you
hour.
very much.
Okay, rental inspection program. Do we have Ms. Fahey online? So this is just a quick update. I hope everyone had time to read the report that she sent. As everyone knows, a year ago, we implemented a rental housing inspection program for when rental units turn over with new tenants or there are excessive complaints. Hi, Ms. Fahey, thank you for waiting.
Hi, good evening. So I actually have a presentation. I could just jump right into it. I know it is getting late. I'll share my screen. Kevin, do you want to just run it? Because it's saying I can, but it's.
Want to try it again?
Oh, no, there we go. Okay, got it. There it is. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so initially we wanted to begin this program in January 1st, but our software company Permanite is going to drop the ball and they didn't complete our housing module for applications until March. So that means somebody could not apply online until March, but it finally was completed. And once it was, we sent out letters to about 200 different people who we thought potentially could be property owners, and that was based on assessor information. But we did know that there was 3 large rental properties out there, the Preserve, 390 CJC, which is like the Stop and Shop area, you know, that new development, and also 132 CJC, which is the apartments above, like where there's Olympus Pizza and the South Shore Athletic Center. So in April, we received about 65 responses from, you know, individual property owners, not those big 3 who said that they do not have rental units. And then from ones that we did hear from that did apply, the individual property owners, we started to do some inspections. And so that's still like ongoing. It started in April and it's still going to this day. In May, we started to do inspections at the preserve. There was a bit of a lag there because they actually had to get on board themselves. Normally, for them to pay out, they would have to get an invoice from somebody. So in order to use our online permanized system, they had to kind of come up with a process themselves. So it took them like an extra month to come on board. In June, we got all the inspections completed at the 20 units at 390 CJC. We're still in the process of trying to connect with the new property owner at 132 CJC. There was a sale recently in the last like month or 2, and I've reached out to the management of the property, and I still haven't been able to connect with the new owner. So we did just recently send out, last week we sent out a second round of letters, just trying to still kind of fish based on those individual property owners that the assessors group said could be rental properties. So just to give you an idea of what a typical inspection looks like. So let's take the preserve, for example. Joan Taverna and Joan's the public health nurse, and so the 2 of us kind of tag team. We'll go into a unit. It takes us about 10 minutes maybe to go through the whole thing. We make sure all the kitchen appliances work. The cabinets, the countertops and backsplash are in good condition. We'll go into the bathroom, flush the toilet, take a look at the shower, make sure there isn't like missing tiles and there isn't like a mold or a moisture problem. We'll make sure that the screens in the windows, make sure they're in good shape, they're not ripped. Make sure the outlets work. We'll check the hot water and make sure it's the right temperature. We'll check the handrails, and that's both inside and then outside, like if they have a deck. We'll check the smoke detectors, make sure all egresses are free and clear, make sure the doors lock. And the biggest thing we're finding at the preserve right now are dryer vents. They have to be a hard, flexible pipe hose, not like the kind that you could like stick your finger through and break through. And so the preserve is in the process of replacing them all. They're trying to get ahead of us. And so that's the big thing on our checklist. So what we're finding the most, we have been finding some malfunctioning smoke detectors, not really at the preserve, but in other places where there's more like individual property owners or maybe like with just 1 or 2 tenants. Again, the dryer vents are the big thing at the preserve. We found some moisture issues, some loose railings, malfunctioning toilets, malfunctioning stove burners. And so again, when we go into the preserve, it's not just Joni and I, but also we're accompanied by the assistant manager and also the facilities director. And the facilities director has been fixing a lot of things, sometimes right on site. Like he's fixed a broken toilet, he's replaced some weather stripping for sliding glass doors that weren't closing properly. And then once we get in and out, like I said, it only takes about 10 minutes. The four of us will talk and we'll make sure we all got the same things on our checklist. And so he's either corrected things on site or he's got an ongoing list of things, places he has to go back to. So of our remaining challenges, it's still kind of unknown exactly who, other than those big three, and other than the people we've heard from, who exactly still has rental properties. It's kind of hit or miss now at this point, trying to figure out who does. The permanized inspectional program for the iPad, we thought it was ready to go. We still need some help with that. So we're just doing it on paper still, but I really think maybe next week we might be online there on our iPads. But overall, I would say it's actually been a success so far. We have not received a single new complaint from the preserve, which is great. And all the repairs up there are getting really done in a timely manner. So it's really good to see. Like one woman, when they fixed the weather stripping in her sliding glass door, she said to us, like, I've been waiting 2 years to get that fixed, and boom, in and out in 10 minutes, we got it fixed. Somebody, knew we were coming in and they took the top off their toilet and he was able to fix that while we were there. So it's been really good to see. It's been gratifying to see that places have been getting fixed, and overall the response from occupants especially, it's been positive. And even the preserve, they were saying this is a lot easier than we thought it was going to be, a lot less of a hassle. And it's been good. We've had a good response.
Great, thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the board? No, Mr. Grady?
Just one. Pam, thanks very much. I remember sitting in your office, we started to initiate this when the preserve thing started first opening up and the other one. So thanks so much for taking the ball and running with it. And it's nice to hear that there's no new complaints from the preserve.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's a really positive thing. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Mr. Farag?
I just had a couple quick questions, and by the way, thank you for the Board of Health for taking this on and also coming up with the regulations and the whole framework in order to do this program and then execute it. But how many inspections have been completed so far, would you say?
So since we started in April, we've probably done about 70 inspections in total, and that includes some re-inspections. Like, for example, there was a unit that's a single family unit, and the woman was like 8 months pregnant, and we found like the 3 out of the 5 smoke detectors weren't working, and the basement door was locked and broken, so you couldn't get out of it in an emergency. So we gave them quick notice to get that completed. So we've gone back there. So there's been a few cases where we've had to go back for re-inspections. So altogether, I'd say there's been about 70 inspections. We've done 32 at the preserve, but we're really going to start ramping it up. Now that we're all kind of in a rhythm of how to do them, we're going to probably start doing 20 a week. Like I said, we still have to go find out, we still have to track down the 132 CJC owner. We've done about 14 individual and like not of the big 3 property owners, like another 14 inspections, and we've got like 10 more scheduled coming up. So yeah, it's kind of good. Like about 70 inspections to answer your question. Sorry, that was kind of a long
Thank you.
response.
And I'll just point out to some of the things that you said regarding the upgrades of the safety, regarding the dry vents and the smoke detectors. What a great improvement that is to public safety from preventing potential fires, or at least letting people know so they can get out quick in time. And what an improvement that is. And it also helps our fire staff a lot as well. And these issues would have never been discovered if it wasn't for this program. So thank you so much. And that's all my questions or comments.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Okay, next up is the year-end audit report. I don't know if we still have Jess Green. Is he coming on? Okay, so this is the FY 24 audit report. Mr. Senior gave us the actual hard copy at our last meeting or 2 meetings ago.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, thank you for coming.
Of course. Yeah, for the sake of time, I can jump right into my presentation as well. We can figure out how to share here. Go. Can everyone see this PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm here tonight to talk about the fiscal year 2024 audit for the town of Cohasset. My name is Jess Green. I'm a director with CBIZ. I've been involved with the town's audit now for a couple of years. Previously with Powers and Sullivan, I'll get into that in a moment, who's been the town's auditor for many years. We're going to go over the audit process and then go over the audit results. So just an update probably since the last presentation. There have been a few changes to our, I'll call it our email signatures. We were previously Powers and Sullivan. I worked with Jim Powers. He was the engagement partner on the town's audit for many years. He ran Powers and Sullivan for about 30 years. He just recently retired in December of 2024. Prior to that, Powers and Sullivan merged with Markham LLP in February of 2024. Subsequent to that, Markham was acquired by CBIZ CPAs as an alternative practice structure, which is aligned with CBIZ Incorporated, which is a public company. This year's audit through those transitions was issued under CBIZ CPAs. So just a little bit, an overview about CBIZ CPAs. So it's a national CPA firm headquartered in New York. It's an alternative practice structure under CBIZ Incorporated. So CBIZ Incorporated is a public company which cannot have an attest practice. So there's a alternative practice structure for CBIZ CPAs. On November 1st, like I said, the attest practice was acquired by Markham. And then now, basically, you have our old little Powers and Sullivan. We call it our Legacy Powers Group inside of this giant company. What that means for you is not a lot will change right now, other than there's other services now that we can offer. There's more people that we work with every day. There's more expertise, more experience, and then other services that we can offer. We pretty much are still operating as our Legacy Powers and Sullivan Group. As our government practice specifically, we're one of now the largest government auditing services in the New England region. So prior to the Powers and Sullivan merger, Melanson, which was formerly Melanson and Heath, merged in with Markham in January of 2023, which essentially doubled their government audit practice. And then we came in as Powers and Sullivan subsequent to that. So like I said, our depth of experience and staffing has put us in a great position. Combined, all across New England, we have more than 400 municipal, school, utility, state agency, benefit plan, public housing authorities, and other special purpose governments that we work on. Before I get started with anything else, this audit is a collaboration with our team and your team. We had great collaboration with everyone on the finance team, Chris, Linda, Diane, Beth. I just want to thank you all so much for your support and cooperation during this audit. I know it's a lot of work back and forth, a lot of requests. I know that there was some turnover on the town side, obviously some turnover on Powers and Sullivan's side with Jim's retirement. So I just want to thank everybody for all your hard work. I really appreciate it. Our audit objectives, first and foremost, was the expression of our audit opinion on the town's financial statements. The town issues an annual comprehensive financial report, and also compliance on the uniform federal guidance with relation to the federal grants. We performed our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and in the standards in government auditing standards, which are considered Yellow Book. The audit process, so our preliminary audit work, we do our risk assessments, we document internal controls, we have discussions with management, the staff, the finance team. We test internal controls and information provided. We look for compliance with laws and regulations, specifically with grants. And we just have to note in our communications with governance that management override of internal controls is always a risk when we're doing an audit. It doesn't matter what community, what business, there's always a risk that the internal controls that you've worked so hard to put in place could be overridden by management. So we have to design our audit procedures specifically to respond to this risk. We looked at things like manual journal entries, adjustments, unusual or large transactions, accounting estimates, specifically ones that are open to bias. So from there, we shift to our year-end audit work. So we verify the year-end balances and account reconciliations. We verify the financial statements are in compliance with GASB and GAAP standards. We test for year-end cutoff for both revenues and expenditures. We test capital asset activity, additions, disposals, depreciation. We verify budgetary controls, and we look at long-term debt, net pension liability, OPEB liability, compensated absences, and balances like that. In terms of responsibilities for the audit, there are management responsibilities and audit responsibilities. So the management is responsible for the fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP, establishing and maintaining effective internal controls over financial reporting, identifying and ensuring that the town is in compliance with all of the laws and regulations, making all financial records and related information available to us during the audit. We got everything we needed from them, so that was great. Perform procedures to ensure that the assets and liabilities were properly evaluated. Identify any contingent liabilities. There were none there. Adjusting the financial statements to correct any material misstatements. There were none. And then also affirming to us that if there were any immaterial misstatements, that they were either corrected or that they were immaterial to the financial statements, both individually and in the aggregate. Now, as the auditor, our responsibility is to express an opinion on the town's financial statements and compliance over federal programs. We conduct our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. These require that we obtain reasonable, not absolute assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement, which could be caused by either error or fraud. An audit is not designed to detect errors or fraud that is immaterial to the financial statements. We are required to obtain an understanding of the internal control sufficient enough for us to be able to plan our audit, complete our risk assessments, and determine the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures that we need to perform. An audit is not designed to provide assurance on internal control or to identify reportable conditions. We're responsible for ensuring that the select board is aware of any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. There were none identified during this year's audit, which is great. Our responsibility also is to present in relation to opinion on other items in the financial statements outside of the basic financial statements. So this would be the management discussion and analysis, the required supplementary information, the town statistical section. So what we do with that is we compare it to the information that's in the financial statements, make sure that it's materially consistent with the other information that we do put an opinion on. And then our responsibility is to present to the select board any matters that we find that come to our attention that you need to know, and or present the results of the audit, and that's why I'm here today. All right, so the report, the annual comprehensive financial report, is three main sections. You have your introductory section, which includes the management's transmittal letter, the prior year GFOA certification. The town has currently received 12 consecutive awards, which is great. The report has been submitted for an award this year, and we anticipate that you'll get it for a 13th year. In the financial section, the audit opinion, pages 13 to 15. This is what we own of the report. This is our opinion. Everything else was provided by you all, and we help assist the preparation of the report. That's followed by management's discussion and analysis. This shows key summary balances and a brief discussion about what happened during the year, why things changed, things like that. Followed after that is the basic financial statements and the notes to the basic financial statements. Then you have your required supplementary information, your general fund budget to actual schedule, retirement, and other post-employment benefit schedules. Following that, we have other supplementary information, which is your non-major governmental funds combining schedules. And lastly is the statistical section, which has 10 years of both financial and non-financial information about the town.
Ms. Green?
Yep.
Oh, so just in the interest of time, could you, because, you know, we've had quite a lengthy meeting, perhaps we can get this emailed to us. We all have received the document, but could you kind of go through, like, not what you did, but what your findings were, and just, you know, kind of your interpretation of what the audit delivered?
Yep. Sorry for those are just required communications that I have to present, and we're actually getting into the results right now. So I'll go through these as I can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So audit results, we issued an unmodified audit opinion. This is the best result that you can get. So they were presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We had no instances of non-compliance to report. Like I said, it was submitted to the GFOA. Some highlights here. So the general fund budget, the final budget was $60 million for 2024. The town budgeted to use 1.7 million of free cash. Budgeted results, the revenues exceeded the budget by 1.5 million, which is great. Expenditures and turnbacks were under budget by 400,000. So although the town had planned to use 1.7 million, the fund balance only decreased by 274,000. That's great. General fund ending fund balance is 14.9 million. This includes the town's stabilization funds of 9.3 million. The general fund balance is 25.8% of general fund expenditures for the year. This is great. The town has really good reserves, and the unassigned general fund balance was 8.8 million. Stabilization funds, like I said, 5.5 million for the general stabilization fund at year end, and 3.9 million at year end for the town's special purpose stabilization funds. In total, this is 63% of the total fund balance and represents 16% of the town's general fund budget. The town is part of the Norfolk County Contributory Retirement System. They issue a report for the schedule of employer allocations. As of December 31st, 2023, the town's net pension liability was 24.9 million, $3.3 million increase from the prior year. The percentage of the regional retirement system had a slight change from the last valuation, and your actuarially determined contribution was 3.5 million. The plan is currently funded at 66.6%. For OPEB, the town pre-funded $350,000 in 2024 and has an unfunded liability of about 27 million with a discount rate of 6.75. This is higher than the municipal bond rate due to your funding policies and your balance in the OPEB trust fund. So this is great. The OPEB trust fund had 7.8 million with a weighted return of 11% in 2024. So that's great to see the investment returns coming back up after a couple of years ago. The town's OPEB is funded about 23% and the pay-as-you-go payments for 1.7 million. There's 10-year trend schedules in the back of the financial statements for both pension and OPEB, so you can take a look there. Governmental debt totaled 7.6 million. The town actually issued 4.5 million of long-term debt in 24, and the general fund debt service was less than 3% of the budget, which is great. That allows you to spend money on current needs and not needing to pay down lots of previous debt. The Community Preservation Fund was presented as a major fund this year. It has its own column in the general fund-based financial statements. They had 858,000 of revenue and expended 449,000 of projects. Water and sewer funds had consistent revenues and receivables from the prior year. Long-term debt outstanding 10.9 million, 5.8 million respectively, and healthy cash balances in both the water and sewer funds. And that's all I had. Sorry for having to rush through there at the end.
No, that's excellent. Thank you very much, and thank you for waiting this evening to come online. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
I just have one.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the audit, everything that was in there, and we did receive it, so I read it. But the only question I had is when you talk about reconciliations, did you look at the reconciliations of the sewer and the water enterprises at all?
What do you mean specifically for reconciliation?
To reconcile them.
To reconcile
the sewer enterprise fund and the water enterprise fund.
So when I was discussing the reconciliations, I was specifically talking about like cash, receivables, balances like that. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, those funds are segregated in difference, so that's what I was just asking, if there was a specific reconciliation done for those particular enterprise funds, or if it was just a general reconciliation on, the inflows and outflows.
So when we do our balance sheet work, we look at all assets, liabilities, fund balances across all funds of the financial statements. Then they are presented as their own opinion unit in the financial statements. So we do test revenues, expenses, and the balance sheet items in all of those major funds that are presented in the financial statement. So I think the answer to your question is yes, we are looking at those.
Collins?
None.
None. I don't have any questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. I just want to make sure everyone, because I've had people ask me like, well, does the town get audited? We get audited every year. We get a presentation. We get a book every year on this. And it's the reason that we receive awards potentially for the 13th year in a row, and why we receive a AAA bond rating and are allowed to entertain projects like we talked about. There was a question earlier about how much debt service can we handle. And this report shows us that although our projects are ambitious, that we have the debt capacity to service them. And anyone who would like to look at the report, you can contact the town manager's office. I don't know, where does it get posted? I was just looking.
It'll be up online on the town manager website and the finance department website.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ms. Green.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thanks. Okay, employee handbook vote. I don't know if Megan is online. Is Megan? Oh, she's here. Excellent. Gosh.
She's awake.
Wake, yeah. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review the employee handbook. It is very well done, in my opinion. Megan, do you want to just kind of go through a couple of highlights?
Sure. Can you see me? I can't see myself.
No, no, we can't.
Well, there we go. Okay.
There you go.
Thanks for having me back. So the employee handbook was really revamped this year. through a few different avenues. So we worked with Maya, we worked with our, the HR department worked with our colleagues, Linda Cole, who was just on, and Ron Menard were key players. And we also took notes throughout the year of things that just happened to come up that maybe, you know, we thought could be added or, you know, clarified in the book as well. So it's comprehensive. We've added a work from home policy, which I think was of interest for a lot of folks. And we're very proud of the very lengthy document that we've put together.
Should be. Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Plex?
It looks great. Thanks for the work on this, Megan.
Thank you.
I have no questions other than I read it. It looks excellent, and it's great because this is what we were talking about in trying to bring the town to the 21st century, updating everything. And you've done a lot with HR regarding trainings that you've done, updating the town handbook, all the postings and everything like that. So this just goes along with that. So I read it and I don't have any issues with it. It's great.
Thank you.
Mr. Rollins? None. Okay, so, yes,
I was
Mr.
gonna
Grady.
say, I just second Chris Plex's comment.
Okay. Okay, all right, so, may I have a motion to approve the employee handbook?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Thank you for waiting
you.
up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is going on to be the longest meeting on record. Town manager update.
I see my time.
You see my time.
I second that.
Okay, select board comments? Mr. Grady?
And tonight, I think we're all made.
Mr. Plex?
It's late enough. Thank you.
Mr. Farag?
I've made all my comments at this point in time.
Ms. Rollins?
No, thank you.
Okay, I have one. Okay, just to break the chains, sorry, Mr. Plex, I have one. If people are interested in the documents that we're looking at during our meetings, all they have to do is go to cohassetma.gov, go to the select board page, and go to select board meeting content. All of tonight's documents are posted there. It's not very difficult to navigate, but I know some people have commented, well, we can't see what they're talking about. So that's where all the documents are. So that's my comment. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 22nd?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn at 10:06 PM?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Our next meeting is August 19th. We'll try to be brief. Thank you, everyone, for your